shows the way, turning clouds of confusion into a sunny day. He's got the wisdom of the real world skies, guiding us higher, helping us realize that flying's not just a dream in the blue. With Forder by your side, you can make it true. Fly with Forder where the knowledge flows, through the winds of wisdom where the passion shows. He's the captain of kindness, the teacher we need, helping every simmer take off and succeed. He speaks in calm tones, steady, clear, breaking down the lessons, erasing the fear. From takeoff to landing, he covers it all. In his virtual cockpit, you'll never feel small. A community's heart, a mentor, a friend. He'll stick by your side till the lessons end. It's more than a game, it's the art of the air. And with Forder's guidance, you'll always get there. Fly with Forder where the knowledge flows, through the winds of wisdom where the passion shows. He's the captain of kindness, the teacher we need, helping every simmer take off and succeed. From the first cold start to a perfect glide, Forder's dedication is our joy and pride. In every stream there's magic to find, a passion for flying and a heart so kind. Fly with Forder where the knowledge flows, through the winds of wisdom where the passion shows. He's the captain of kindness, the teacher we need, helping every simmer take off and succeed. So here's to Forder, our guide in the air, a pilot of patience with a heart that cares. With every new lesson, our dreams take flight. Flying with Forder, we reach new heights.
Hi everybody, welcome. Tuesday evening, how's it going? Welcome to YouTube. This is the first time, I think it's the first time we've actually streamed on a Tuesday night because of popular demand. So we'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. But Tuesday evening lesson, and we have interaction with chat. Always, because what good would a lesson be if there weren't people here to view it? So thanks for coming everybody, thanks for showing up. It's good to see Katie says, hi teacher Forder. Sup, Forder. Hey, Super Ty, how's it going? P Delta Bravo was in the house, and so is UAF. Kata was first in the door. What's with that? It's something to do with West Coast, right? I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, okay, I'm just finishing up the thread we were talking about earlier. That's great. Oz can't stay long, but at least he's here for now. That's great. And Srap, thanks for pinning that in our chat. We also have a chat over at YouTube. You guys join in if you can. That'd be a lot of fun. Say hi and ask all kinds of questions. Srap is right, you guys. He's right on the ball. Next Tuesday is Sun and Fun Approach. Practicing for the Sun of Fun Approach. It's the Lake Peter. Is it Lake Peter? Lake Peter approach. It's long, and it goes right over top of Fantasy of Flight to start with. So it's going to be fun. I'm working with Say Intentions to get at least the dots on the field and their ability to sense a wing rock. That'll be fun. So there's going to be something unfold for that, maybe. And anyway, we'll the very least we'll get to know how they get to Sun and Fun. Thousands and thousands of pilots will assemble there by, well, before April 1st, probably the 29th of March and 30th of March they'll be coming in. So we have to be on hand even for that, because that's when the biggest influx of flyers come. And so I work the field, for those who don't know, and it's just going to be a great insight this year to see how do the planes get there from here. And that'll be a lot of fun. You guys will also turn it into a landing challenge. You land on the dots, just like we've done with Oshkosh in past years. We'll do the same now with Sun and Fun. It's going to be all right. So come next Tuesday, we're going to be doing that, learning the Lake Parker approach to Sun and Fun in Lakeland, Florida. It'll be a riot. In fact, it's only about 45 minutes by car from where I am right now. So that'll be a riot. So let's see, West Coast Willie. Yes, Super Ty, I've heard of him. Yep. And that's on that same conversation that you were talking about earlier. Okay. Hey, that's cool. Look at that in chat. What's going on? That's pretty cool. All right, you guys. I'm going to get straight to the lesson. I think we have Andrew on board. Are you here, Andrew?
I am here. Good evening.
He's here. Let's see him. There's his face. And on that screen, you'll also see a link for you to join our Discord, everybody. It's free. Come join our Discord. There are answers to questions. All kinds of people can answer questions on there. Ask anything at all. There's sections for those of you who are students on my Udemy channels. There's areas in there about every topic of aviation. Just come and ask and be part of that community. That's a great resource. It doesn't mean I answer all the questions. We have a lot of people who know a lot of things. And so that's the way to find your answers, everybody. Come on there. If I could just, I can't do plugs on Facebook. But, when I hear these people who are frustrated on Facebook, I was like, I don't know how to do this and I don't know how to do that. I'd love to say come to our Discord server, but it's, it's self-promotion, right? So you can't do that. But it's just too bad they don't know of that resource. They could come and ask those questions and 10 of you would answer for them, right? And give them proper answers without all the snarky stuff. So, that's, it's too bad we just can't plug our own channels, right? So, Andrew, what's new with you in the east part of the country where there could be snow? What's up, Doc?
Yeah. Could be snow changing to rain on Thursday.
Oh, it's always that story this time of year. I asked Andrew what's up. He goes, oh, it's snow changing to rain on Thursday. I heard that last week, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what happened.
Kind of what happens.
And then it could happen again on Sunday.
Sunday,
so
on the weekend, yeah. So
I'm
Kate is doing the
it.
wave. Kate is saying hi, Andrew. She knows you from FS Expo, right? That's how you build relationships, you guys. There she is. She's waving. And rain is on the way for us, Kate says. I'll just let you guys know it's like 90 degrees here Fahrenheit. So it's like, I don't know what that is. 32? I don't know what it is Celsius. Once I'm down here, I have to think Fahrenheit because, the minute I say 30, they go brrr, So it's a different world. So we might as well get going with this. Thanks for the Discord link there, Srap. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you also popping in some information on the YouTube chat for those of you who come onto YouTube. YouTube isn't used to live chat, I guess. I haven't seen a live chat yet where it's really hopping along like we do on Twitch. But then again, those of us on Twitch have been here for years together, right? So, that's a very common thing. So, Kata says currently 26. That's the perfect kind of weather, It's not too hot, it's not too cold. Could be some rain, but, that's how things grow. That's how it works. Yeah, someone's bragging about his weather again. Yeah, I didn't go golfing today. All right, see, I sacrificed. I stayed home and did career mode. I flew a DA-62 today, Kata, for about 4 hours. Made some money. So did all the passive incomes. Made some money. I don't know. We'll find out after 7 o'clock when the clock turns over. It's 24 hours. So you can see on the screen, guys. I've got a couple of links on there. I don't have my Blue Sky link. I better put that up there at some point. All the different areas where you can contact me or use some of my products. But there's the Discord link is the most important one because that's the free resource. Just go there and say hello and find an area where you want to talk about stuff, right? That's pretty cool. All right, let's move on. Andrew, what are you going to fly tonight? Are you going to come fly for the night flight or are you just going to go test something as you do? I think I see you on the field right now. And you've got an Orbix logo in your upper corner. Let's have a look at that just before we move on to the classroom. So he's got the Say Intentions bar at the top, and he's got the Orbix logo in the left corner, and the Creator Hub. Tell me again what the Creator Hub was for. Was that Orbix?
Yeah. Yeah, it's part of. I got a free copy of the Avenger, and I gotta remember one of these days I gotta record a flight on it and whatnot. But that's what they like is put the Creator Hub and their tag up in the screen. So
look at you go. they selected you, because you know why? Because you got such knowledge of these planes of the day, and so they like the fact that you would talk about them in any detail that people want. That's pretty cool. You guys, our channel's been friends of Orbix for many years. We did the July event, if you remember that, Andrew. Orbix gave away prizes left and right. We had a lot of fun with that. And everywhere we went was that funny little aircraft. What was that thing called again?
Oh yeah, the one where there's actually only 23 in existence, and I think we ran into all 23 of them one day.
On one airport, yeah.
Yeah.
What is it called? The Orbix?
Oh, it's the Optica.
The Optica, that's it. And the Optica is in career mode too, you guys. You can actually take people on a career mode sightseeing. They call it flight seeing with this Optica. I haven't done it yet, but it's just too slow for me. But yeah, with a handle like Firewall, I just can't fly the thing. So with coffee in hand and notepad in the other, either take notes of the lesson, you guys, or use it for the flight. And the flight will be happening out of KAWO, I think it is, Arlington, north of Payne Field. It's pretty close to your country, Kata, but up there, northern Washington State. And one of the reasons I changed the venue, I mean, I sent out the PDF for proofreading to some of you, and it was originally planned for a Canadian flight. And I did the flight just to test it, and the lights were just too bright. We want to see the effect of night flight, so we want to actually go somewhere where there's no population of lights, and now start to see the sky open up. And so I've changed the venue to Arlington Airport, and we're going into the mountains where it's darker, and see some of the effects in there. And that's what we're doing today, you guys, so that'll be a lot of fun. So Andrew, you're on Arlington Field right now? Can't tell.
Yep.
And you're in the Diamond? No, that looks like a high wing. Why does it say Diamond GA Juliet S? Looks to me like a 172. Oh, that's because of Say Intentions, right?
Yeah, give me a second.
And I'll be doing that too. We'll be using Say Intentions, you guys. So I am on the tarmac. It is nighttime. I'm picking after nighttime falls anyway. And although there is population all around, you guys can see that right here. Although there is population all around, we'll be flying out of here and heading east into the mountains, and then we'll really enjoy what night flight has to offer. I'm also flying the 172. I've got the G1000 Flight Sim Builder in front of me, a scaled down version of what Kata has in front of her. At least I've got the screens and all the knobs and buttons of a G1000 setup. I just don't have that whole elaborate panel that she's got, but I'll get by. But it's good, you guys, especially in real flights like this, where we have to change frequencies on the fly. Now, the nice thing about Say Intentions is you can click the frequency and it'll change it for you. You don't have to play with the mouse and all the dials. But once you do have to change frequencies, having a physical dial in your hands is got to be the way to go, because then you can change quickly. We don't have time to sit there and watch the mouse while we move it around just for one digit, move it around for another digit. You could crash into something. And night flight here, certainly you can put on your autopilot, but night flight here that we're doing today is a VFR night flight. And we'll be flying low and slow. You can't just be putting on autopilot and then go and bury your head in the cockpit. So you want to be able to change that if you can do it somehow. One of the ways, and I always find solutions for everybody, one of the ways is you could go by the Knobster. I don't know if it's still available. It's actually called the Knobster. And all it is the encoder itself. I don't know if I can rip this thing off there. There we go. Yep, I can. I got double-sided tape on it. So let me just show you this one here against the dark background. This thing here is called I'll read right on the thing. It's called the Octavi or Octavi. I don't know how you would say it. I always pronounce things wrongly, even though it's my primary tongue. This thing, I'm just evaluating it. I'll give it back. But this thing is a portable USB. It has a 3.0 plug-in here and a normal USB at the other end. This thing is a lot of the functions that you have on your Bravo, if you have a Bravo, all the normal functions you have on your Bravo, such as heading, AP, approach, altitude, VS, all of that. But that you already have on your Bravo, so why would you want such a thing? Well, first of all, I'm going to use it with my laptop. My laptop doesn't have any of this hardware that I have here. All right. So that's the first thing. It's great for portable setups, great for those of you who don't have anything like that. You might just have a stick, you might have a throttle, but you don't have all of the autopilot functions. But the real power of this little module is the encoder, which is just like a knobster. Now, if you get just the knobster is just the encoder, just the dial itself, if that's coming into camera, and just that dial itself has push button, and it has outer and inner, and you know, that's what you need for tuning radios. Now, the beauty of this unit is it does have COM1, COM2, NAV1, NAV2, the top 4 buttons. So those top 4 buttons are valuable because now I can change frequencies very quickly with this small unit. All right, and so maybe that's what some of you will get because you don't want to get the whole elaborate $2,000 G1000 setup that I have, or the $700 Bravo Alpha that I have, or the rudder pedals, or the stick and rudder, and all this stuff I got set up here, as some of you do, just to be able to change frequencies. This could be an answer, right? So I have found value in this, even though it's duplication of my Bravo, it's duplication of my Flight Sim Builder G1000. All right, I don't need this at all. But when I fly on my laptop, which I'll be doing at FS Expo, that's what I'll do when I'm not here in the studio, then certainly this would definitely come in handy for sure. And that way I can now change frequencies really fast. And that's really the key, you guys. I thought I'd mention it because I'll be giving it back. I might do a review on YouTube, maybe, but that's pretty much the review there, right there, you guys. All those functions work just like they do on other systems, but now you've got a way to change frequencies quickly. So I like that. I think they advertise it as a all-in-one cockpit, and I've corrected them and said no, it's not. It's an all-in-one autopilot panel, all right? And you can change your frequencies, but it's not a whole cockpit. Cockpit involves more than just that. Anyway, I thought I'd mention it. I don't need it tonight because I got hardware in front of my face, so I thought I'd mention all that. All right, let's go to the EXO, baby. Let's go to here. Yes, and let's move over to the classroom. And let's just hit this first. And we're now over in the classroom, you guys. So we are at the resort for the moment, but we will be flying out of Arlington in Washington State. So if you guys want to get there, that'd be great. Let's see. I want to say one last thing here because I didn't pay attention here. Cranky Kraka, how you doing in YouTube? Yeah, it's a tiny little screen. I wish I could make that font a little bigger, right? First off, great video on how to properly use the water bomber. But I do have a relevant question. What would cause the CL415 engines to idle too low, even with the high cams turned on? That's a very good question. Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't had that problem. Idling too low. Have a feeling the 415 is bugged in career mode. I have no problems operating, but the water and tear is far too fast, right? Even without water running the engine too high. So it is a finicky engine. I'll say that right now. The water bomber, the CL415, it's powerful. Two big, huge, powerful engines on the thing. When it's full of water, I don't remember exactly, could it be 600 gallons or some big, huge number? The thing is heavier than you would imagine. All that liquid inside that plane, plus its fuel. It's hard to get back out of the water. Most people will floor it. So let me say this. In normal takeoff with most planes, like we'll do tonight in the 172, we give it full power. Some people call it takeoff power. Well, takeoff power could be different. It depends on the plane. But takeoff power in the small GA planes is full power. We go full power, we climb, and then after we level off and after we get up to speed leveling off, then we pull back the throttles. Well, in the 415, even on the water, you've got to keep up that 90 knots. And even on the water, you've got to not give it full throttle to get off the water. Now, there's the hard part. So it's very delicate pulling it away from the water. Now, keep in mind that the scoop on the bottom, there's one on each side, the scoops are at the high end, or what they call the step of the float. Right now it's a single body float, but still it's right at the step, the part that has the least amount of resistance before it leaves the water. All right, and that's where the scoops are too. So the first thing you do is make sure the scoops are up when you're ready. Try it at 50% first. Just do 50% fill and stop your scoop. You've got a hotkey for the scoop or whatever it is, Z key. All right, once the scoop is up, there's less drag. And now, as you're pulling off the water, trying to get that AOA indicator the AOA, the angle of attack indicator, level. If it stays level, you'll be up on the step, and then you'll finally break away from the water. And it will not be a drastic climb. It'll be break away from the water, and you're this far in ground effect for a while you speed up a little more, and then finally you're moving off the water. But you're never going to get that kind of angle. All right, so never give it full power coming off the water, because you'll overheat the engines, and in career mode, that's it. You'll never get off the water. Now you've wrecked the engines. Now you'll never get power to get off the water. All right, so don't give it full power, but be gentle coming off the water and gently pull it away. Try to find an area that's level after the lake so that you can pull away. You won't be able to climb mountains. Even the 802, the little fire, well, they call it the little fire eater compared to the 415, although it's a very big airplane. Even it, when it's full of when its tanks are full, has a hard time pulling off and over obstacles. So you really got to be careful with that. I'd say practice at 50% water for now and get used to handling that engine without killing it. That's my advice. But thanks for that, Cranky. Thanks for tuning in on YouTube. Yeah, Srap, that's the link. Thank you for that. That's the octavi.net. I don't know if it's in California. It's probably pronounced Octavi, you know, and but it might be Octavi. I haven't actually heard anyone say it. That's the problem, right? Okay, let's get into night flying. That's why we're here. So let's go take a look, you guys. First of all, a definition from the FAA here in the USA. They define night flight as a period of 1 hour after sunset to 1 hour before sunrise. And, you know, you can tell both of those times specifically, you can see some light, but it's still visibility could be low. And so that's officially night flight time, right? And that's when, you know, that is the time when accidents can still happen. So they've got to officially call it night flight. And you've got to make sure in your logbook too, how many hours of night flight do you have also, right? You know, these are the things that you need. Now I will mention, and this is something I think Charlie brought out. I think you're with us, Charlie, for the first hour, or maybe you're coming in on the VOD. So if you're coming in on the VOD, say hi everybody for those who are coming back on the VOD. But you mentioned that I should be mentioning that in Canada, where I got my license, there's a night rating extra from your PPL. In the USA, your night rating or your ability to fly at night is included with your PPL. And so that's an important thing. In Canada, it is extra because not everybody wants to fly at night. It's a great thing to have. I've come back even from training missions where it's getting darker and darker. I might have gone for a flight lesson after work, and by the time I got back, or the time we were heading back from the practice area, it was already getting dark. So I remember the very first time that happened, the instructor said, "You shouldn't be here." And we had to land quickly and get out of the plane because officially I wasn't supposed to be a student at night flight until I was ready for night flight, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, you're there, Charlie. Hey, cool. And so it is different in the USA as in Canada. Canada, it's an extra endorsement on your ticket. So that's the idea. The thing about night flight, you guys, is that things change. First of all, you don't have a horizon. That's very important. Even in, like, when you do all of your student flights as a student pilot for your PPL, you will not go on a student flight if there's no horizon. There has to be a horizon. So if it's hazy, if it's visibility is lower than unlimited, your flight won't be. It'll be canceled. Like, no, we're not flying today. But it's clear around the airport. We're good. Nope. There's no horizon, and all of your flight basics are based around the horizon. Your attitude toward that horizon. No, you can look at your instruments, and I know a lot of you do. You don't do instruments when you're learning PPL. You will learn basic instruments. You will learn how to glance at them. You certainly will always be looking at your airspeed from day one. But your artificial horizon doesn't matter. It's a backup instrument. If you inadvertently get into clouds, you'll look at your artificial horizon. But you do not learn instruments in your PPL. The focus is out the window. And it's the hardest thing for an instructor to do is to get people to look out the window. Because they might have been on their sim for 10 years, always looking at instruments with their head in the instrument panel. And now an instructor has to tell a real student, get your head out the window and stop staring at those instruments. It's a hard thing for them to break, right? So the night rating in Canada, you can see it here. We can operate an aircraft in night VFR. All right. Now, if you have your IFR rating, you can fly at night too, because IFR means instrument flight rules. You can fly with reference only to your instruments. So certainly an IFR rating is expensive. It's after your PPL, and it will certainly cover your nighttime too. But a night rating allows you to fly VFR at night. You don't necessarily have to go and find an IFR rating, right? 20 or more hours of dual and solo time, including 10 takeoffs and landings, and they mark it in your logbook, in your pilot logbook. And I'm saying approximately 2,500. It's cost some people 3,500. Cost me about 1,200 to get it because I caught on right away. I'd been flying in the sim for years before that, and I practiced everything after I had my lessons on the sim at home. And so it was really cheap for me to get that. Mountains, mountains everywhere. Yeah, what's a horizon, Kata says, right? Mountain flying is so very different. Look out the window. Yeah, there's another mountain. Now what do I do? Yeah, that's a good point. And that's why there's this, there are instructors who will take you up and say, no, we're going to practice some mountain flying now, right? It's a separate thing. Without visual reference outside. So you need to trust your instruments. On your private pilot license, you'll have already 10 hours of instrument time. So this is how you get familiar with instruments. And the only reason they're doing this is not an IFR rating, you guys, but the only reason they do this in your PPL is in case you do get yourself into clouds and now you've lost your horizon. And as anyone will tell you who that's happened to in real life, and you can simulate that in the simulator, anyone who's had that happen in real life, it gives you vertigo. It gives you a spatial disorientation. Even experienced pilots will get this spatial disorientation. Your ears are telling you one thing, your eyes are telling you another, and you are thinking you're turning left and you're actually turning right. It's the weirdest sensation. It's a feeling of loss of control. You know, the infamous or famous accident, JF Kennedy over, was it Long Island? He didn't have his instrument rating. He only had this, basic instruments in case he got into fog. Well, he did. And he got disoriented and he crashed in the ocean. So, you know, I mean, these things happen to pilots every year. So this is something that is something to be aware of. In the sim, we go, oh, well, every one of us have crashed in the sim and went, oops, and we start over again. You know, in real life, that is a known, you know, the first rule of flying in real life is never stall. And the second rule, of course, is never find yourself in fog if you're not prepared for it, right? Martha's Vineyard, yeah, that's where it happened, right? Well, it was dusk when he headed out. He should not have headed out. But anyway, there was fog also forming where he was flying, and he got disoriented. A lot of pilots, you know what, you guys? He left from Buttonville that day. I don't know if you're with us tonight right now, Paul, but I think, Paul, you said you're here for the first hour, maybe? He left from Buttonville, the airport where I flew out of all the time. He was there with a cast on one of his legs. Wait a second, he was flying with a cast on one of his legs. So, you know, what happens if somebody wants left rudder? You know what I mean? But I think he did have his instructor with him, so I don't know what happened there. I think he dropped his instructor off along the way, and then he carried on for a wedding or something. He had to be there. Anyway, it was crazy. Now, during instrument rating, you learn to fly the plane with your instruments and back up what you see with other instruments. Even when instruments fail, you practice looking at other indications, and you fly completely with reference to instruments. This is only the six-pack you see in front of us, which are your main instruments. And so, so at night, there may be times we have to glance at our instruments more than just our airspeed. Our airspeed, of course, in our smaller planes determine what we should be flying, but the artificial horizon, the altimeter, is it going up or down? Our vertical speed indicator, what's that telling us? And certainly our turn and ball to tell us whether we're coordinated, and our directional indicator. You know, like all of these things are necessary if you can't look out the window. All right, and so that's what we're talking about here. So there is some training in that. I'm not training in that tonight. I'm just going to let's experience night flight. Let's see the beauty of it, the romance of it, but let's also see the dangers of it, and that's what we're here for tonight. I might as well put the plug in, you guys. I do have an IFR course on Udemy, and for those, there was one person just gave me a bad review. I'm not used to that. That was a 2 out of 5. They were not used to an IFR course that didn't have an airliner. And they should have looked at the free videos that are in there, the sample videos that talk about the course. They should have looked at the description. You can learn IFR, and everybody who learns IFR learns it in a smaller GA plane. They're cheaper to rent. If it's an IFR rated plane, away you go. And my whole course is around the 172, IFR equipped 172, and talks about moving up into the twin jets and moving up into the bigger planes. But They're so disappointed because they didn't learn to program an FMS. They're so disappointed they didn't fly an airliner or 737. And so they gave me a bad review. But read the description of a course before you get it. You learn all the basics of IFR in there, including how to read charts inside out, how to do approaches, whether they're GPS or whether they're ILS or whatever, NDBs, whatever else you need is all there. And so, it's too bad they didn't read it first before they took the course and bought the course. If he hadn't given me the review, probably would have given him a refund, but the review's already done, so that's it. All right, but that's an IFR course if you do want it, you guys, if you want to learn more about instruments. Now, you might also have the glass cockpit. I'm lucky enough to have that right in front of me, a Flight Sim Builder G1000. I've had this for a long time. I do own the Real Sim Gear G1000 in Toronto. That was given to me at half price because I used it and talked about it. So, that's the thing we do as streamers, if we can try and reduce the cost. Same with Flight Sim Builder. They were already half the cost of a Real Sim Gear. Ace of Spades has Flight Sim Builder G1000, so do I, and I know a few others who have it also, and they're really happy with it. And it works perfectly fine in 2024 as long as you move the WASM module over to your new community folder. All right, and then it'll work just fine. And that's something I just discovered recently. It was not working. I was doing without it, and I think it was Ace of Spades that said just try moving the WASM over from 2020 over into 24, and away it went. Yeah, you have to knock off. Kata, that means you got to go to sleep. You got to have another drink. I don't know. What does that mean? You have to knock off. I know you're leaving. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you in the VOD, maybe. I don't know. You probably know all this stuff already as a real pilot, as a real student pilot. So, but anyway, thanks for tuning in and saying hi. That's really good. All right. Let's see. Chili Bean, John Denver, yes. Well, John Denver simply stalled it at low altitude over the Pacific Ocean, showing off, as he always did. Yeah, he wasn't actually in IMC conditions, and he wasn't in spatial disorientation. Many will say, if you look at the actual report on that, many will say that he ran out of fuel. His fuel valve was behind him, and his shoulder harness would not let him turn enough to turn the fuel valve to the other tank. And he was doing all these low passes over the ocean to show off to the beachgoers, and stalled it and bought the farm. Yeah, that was a different story on that one, yeah. Oh, the G1000, oh, you have a knockoff G1000. I get it now. Yeah, okay. I don't, I've heard so many different expressions in the channel. Right? Sorry, Kata. maybe it's the Irish that say, I have to knock off now. Okay, have a good night. Sorry. Way to go, Howard. We're both Canadians. So having this in front of you guys, there's all your instruments in one place. You can glance at this and see everything you need to see also without looking at individual instruments. And believe it or not, statistics show that a glass cockpit is safer than conventional gauges because conventional gauges are mechanical devices. Now, certainly any of these things can fail at any time also because each of these are separate line replaceable units. Inside a G1000, they are thin metal boxes that sit vertically behind each of these screens, and each one is a different module. One is for comms, for the radios, one is for the heading indicator, one is for each of the things that you see along here that connect to sensors. All right, and so certainly those things can also go wrong, and that's why you have backup systems and backup ways to tell. It's also why we still include analog gauges inside most planes that have a glass cockpit, because those analog gauges will be our reference, our cross-reference. So make sure that when they give you barometric pressure, you reach up and you change the baro, that's the outer dial up here. You change the barometric pressure, which is right here, but you also do it to your backup instrument wherever it is. On the diamonds, it's up here. On the, some of them I've flown recently, they were down here, and some of them are over on the right. So make sure you also do your backup instrument so that it's always got the right altitude. Just some of the things that you need to know. All right, so fly by night. This is not a long presentation. We're going to go and do the flight mostly tonight because we want to take in the beauty of it. We also want to feel the effect of not having all of these, what we call the population density lights. They're certainly beautiful. I remember one time I actually wrote a song called Silver and Gold from my experience in flying for years with silver and gold lights down below me. And it was set to the same sort of theme as Sailing, that song called Sailing, that kind of nice and slow and kind of ballad kind of song. Don't know what happened to it. Made it at the time. Had a lot of fun with it, but I should have kept it. Because you look back and go, could have made some money. No, that's not why. All right, so flying by night, the pros, you can already read the screen while I talked about it. First of all, it's cooler at night, so it's better performance in relation to the daytime anyway. It's better performance. You could also say you get better performance in Canada right now during winter than you do in Australia in the summer, right? Because in the summer the air is warmer even at night. So better performance in cooler air, that's why. And it's typically still air at night too. And there's plenty of times when there's cloudless nights, even though there was a cloud or overcast during the day. So you get better performance, smoother air. Now, lower collision risk, maybe because of the less traffic, but also because you can see those planes' lights from a long way away, where in the daytime, they might blend in with the countryside, all right? But certainly you can't miss the fact that you've got some extraordinary views. It's just breathtaking, all right? If you're on a first date and you happen to be a PPL with access to an airplane, take them out for a night flight, and there it is. Your first date is sealed right there. You know what I mean? Look at me talking like this when I've been married almost 40 years. What would I know? That's a pretty expensive first date. I hope it's worth it, yeah. Less bird strikes. Is that true, Icebird? I've seen birds fly at night. I don't know. But you're absolutely right. I haven't actually seen them. But birds don't have lights, so maybe I just haven't seen them, right? Yeah. Could be bats too, but how high do bats fly, right? Now, bird strikes are a very real thing, you guys. You can find a YouTube video somewhere of a bird strike coming through a windshield. They really will break a windshield. They could really put a dent in the leading edge of your wing. They could certainly wreck your engine in a bird strike directly into the prop. I've been very lucky in my flying years, especially at a place like Toronto Island Airport, where there are seagulls and there are Canada geese all around. They actually have, or they did have when I was learning to fly in the 90s, they had a pickup truck with a shotgun mounted on a swivel at the back, permanently mounted. There wasn't a person there. And they put blanks in the thing, you guys, just so you know where this is going. And if you were coming in for a landing and you saw birds on your flight path, which there was commonly because you're coming in over water both times on both sides of the runway, you would just radio the tower and say, we need a possible bird strike up ahead before I land. And they would send out the pickup truck and they would shoot blanks and scare them off, and away they go. And so, that was one way to do it. Another way, one of the airports I was at has a litter of foxes. The foxes go out and chase them off. Not sure that helps when you're, halfway down the glide path, but still, it's different ways to reduce that bird strike idea.
Halifax has a Falconer on contract.
A Falcon on contract. So
Yep.
the owner of that's making money, right?
Yep.
That's my Falcon boy out there making money for me. You'll hear birds or other noises from farther distances, since sound often travels better at night. And that's cool too, right? So, there are pros for sure about flying at night. It's certainly a wonderful time. It's a very peaceful time to be flying. And we're going to do that tonight. We're going to have a nice peaceful flight tonight. Now, fly by night, the cons. I had to put this in there because, now you notice I'm using a red light behind here. I didn't have it pure red because then it's hard to read the letters, so I made it sort of a light red. It ended up being pink, but we're going to be putting on a red light here in my studio and dimming all of my screens so that my eyes can acclimatize to night flight. And that's really what you do in real flight too. And sometimes we just simply close our eyes and hold them that way for 20 minutes. You might think that there's a pilot sleeping in the lounge. They're just getting their eyes ready for night flight, you guys. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. 33% of accidents for aircraft at night end in fatality, as opposed to 13.8 accidents in daytime end in fatality. Why is that? All right. Easier to get disoriented. And even taking a look at this, I can see there's a runway down there. I'm not sure what the distance is. It looks like a good glide path. I can see the PAPI lights show me I'm at 3 degrees. So this looks good. I'm looking at all indicators, the shape of the runway, but still it doesn't tell me the distance. But the PAPI lights tell me that I'm on a proper glide slope, that I will reach the numbers. So that's important, you guys. More important at night than in daytime. Now, I always come in a GA plane higher than 3 degrees, because a single engine airplane, if it has an engine failure at 3 degrees glide, we will not make the runway. all right, we will have to put it down in the field or whatever is before this runway. So I always come in higher than 3 degrees. So if anybody ever criticizes and says, wait, you're way too high, no, I can lose altitude fast. I just can't gain it fast, and I don't want to have an engine failure into the field, and it does happen to GA planes, especially when they're switching tanks downwind and they switch to off instead of left or right. That's happened to somebody I know, and they actually put the plane into the Toronto Harbor. And so that person said, from now on, I'll always leave my fuel alone while I'm on downwind. It's supposed to put it on your fullest tank, but you know, maybe that's a good rule. If you've already got lots of fuel in that tank, just leave it. Leave it alone, yeah. Or wear a pirate eye patch on each eye, Krabby, right? Arr, yes. Yes, an iceberg, well, dead stick landing, I can do that no problem. I guess it could be a bigger challenge because of visual cues. But I can still do that, and we can certainly try that tonight in the sim too, right? And thanks for following there, Slem ID. I always wonder how people get their handles. It would be a great story for having an evening of how'd you get your handle. Wouldn't it be cool? So the terrain becomes invisible, you guys. I have no idea what's around this runway. It could be a built-up area. It could be nothing. It could be lakes and trees, as it is at our resort. You know, I mean, you look at this, and it's like, I have no idea. So terrain becomes invisible. There could be a small mountain. There could be a hill here beside the runway, as there is in career mode. You go to do a go around, it's like, I'm not going left. I'm gonna have to go right, because there's a great big hill there. Problems and stressful situations seem amplified. You're already concentrating on, this is at night, I'm close to the ground. I got, you know, more in a real plane, you guys. Here in the sim, we seem just as relaxed about it. Yeah, okay, if it doesn't work, I'll do it again. But you know, in real life, you don't have a do it again always is the option, right? So problems and stressful situations seem amplified. An engine out this far from the runway, I'm not concerned. I think I can still make it. I can still put it into glide. You always memorize your glide speed for whatever plane you're in, and you already know immediately to trim for glide when you have an engine failure. While you do a cause check, this low to the ground, I can't do a cause check. I cannot be in the cockpit checking fuel and mixture, and you're too low to the ground. At this point here on an engine failure, you're just going to glide that thing in. So you got to know your glide speed. We require more oxygen at night. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Is that true? Why is that? Is it because the trees aren't producing oxygen right now? Is that why? Anybody know? This is a fact. FAA says it on their website. All of the instructors I talk to say it. Something to do with the biology of our bodies, and so we require more oxygen. Bright light can disable our night sight for periods of time. Holy moly, my eyes are sensitive. I don't know if it's because years ago my eyes were lasered, and eventually I still needed reading glasses, which I have now. But for years, I mean, since I was a kid, I had very thick Coke glasses, kind of glasses. And then later in life, when I could afford it, I ended up getting my eyes lasered, and I had no glasses for about 30 years of my life. And so, and now I need them for reading, and so I just use bifocals, which is what I have now. But the point is, I think since I got my eyes lasered, my eyes are more sensitive to light, for sure. And I have to wear sunglasses when I'm driving, and at night I do wear yellow kind of night glasses when I'm driving, so that helps a lot with the glare of high beams. And it seems that there are a lot of drivers who have no idea what high beams are. You know, I don't think they teach it in driver training for cars. They have no idea. And I know some people, if you say to them, you know, you got your high beams on, they say, yeah, so I can see better. They don't care.
Yeah, but the guys coming to words, you can't see at all. So
yeah, well, you know, and I've actually at an intersection, you guys, I'm in the left turn lane. The car in front of me is in the left turn lane, and the high beams are on. So I'll flash my high beams, and they'll flash. They won't take them off. They'll just flash, right? And I'll flash my high beams again. I'm just trying to do a quick flash to show them that they got their high beams on, and they're not doing anything at all. And so, you know, they don't know what it is. But anyway, that's not for here, right? That's not for tonight. They have no idea what high beams are. I've talked to people about it. You know, do you drive with your high beams on? They go, what's that? It's, you know, you have low beam, high beam on your lights. Oh, really? How do you do that? They don't know. They just see maybe a little blue headlight symbol, and they think that means their lights are on, right? Anyway, bright light can disable our night sight for periods of time, and accidents on the ground do happen because of bright lights. This is also another reason to not use your strobes on your plane until you're out to the hold short. All right, so some people add it to their checklist. Typically at the hold short, you do 5 T's in real life. In the sim, we drop it down to 3 T's: time, transponder, and talk. But you should add on there lights, action, camera, because lights could mean strobes and landing light, right? You're now turning your lights on because you're out in the runway. You don't have ground personnel being blinded. Those things are really bright in real life, you guys. So you can disable people's night vision that way.
Yeah. Well, if you're flying an airliner or you're going somewhere where you're being marshaled to a parking spot, when you just before you make that final turn to go into the parking spot, turn your taxi lights off, because you don't want to blind the guy who's guiding you in.
With your taxi light. Well, taxi light is a low beam though, but you're right.
Yeah,
It's still
but
very powerful.
it's
like on my Cessna, it's up there on the upper wing.
Yeah,
right?
it's
So
part
still
of
there.
it's part of some checklists actually where. But when you make just as you make that final turn to your parking spot, so you're coming in on a 737 and you're making the turn to actually go into the gate. As you make that turn, they turn the taxi lights off so they don't blind the ground crew.
That's a great idea. Those airplanes, those lights are really bright. And all of the planes that I've seen now that you rent all have LED lights on them now, which are obviously better. They last longer. They're not an incandescent filament that could burn out, just like the old light bulbs were. And they're very bright. The old lights were very hot. And because they're now LED lights, they're very bright and very white. They're not even orangey sort of thing anymore. So yeah, so be careful of that. And so that's also the reason why in your cockpit you should have a dual light. Now I'll just show you what my dual light looks like. It's sitting on my microphone, so you might hear it bang away. This is actually a headset light, you guys. Now I use this for working under the house or under the car. That's what this one's for. But I do have a flashlight that I have in my flight kit, in my flight bag, that has dual light. And so right here you can see there's the white light, which just blinded you. And then here's the red light. And the red light is what I would use in the cockpit all the time. And the red light doesn't blind you, and it actually can still illuminate everything inside your cockpit.
I have a headlamp that does the same thing, but it's got a third position, and I have no idea why you'd want this on your head, because it's flashing. Yeah, that's just annoying.
Emergency. It means Andrew's in trouble. Help him.
Howard,
who's that guy walking around with the flashing light on his head? Well, that's Andrew. He's my friend.
You picked Arlington to get away from the city lights and whatnot.
But they're all
around. Don't go to live weather.
Oh, because
there's not a cloud in the sky and there's a full moon.
Oh, that's cool. Let's do full
everything glows.
Yeah.
I'm halfway to Darrington, and you can still see the hills.
That is cool. Let's have a quick look at what Andrew's looking at, you guys. Now, it might be hard for you guys because we were just watching a white light. We were just watching Howard shine a light in your face, so you might have a hard time seeing what's out his window. But you can see he's got POIs. They're the brightest thing in his horizon, and you can barely see. He's actually got mountains on both sides. This is the flight we're going to be taking tonight, you guys. He's actually doing.
Yeah, they are. I don't know how it translates on stream, but in my cockpit, the hills are blazingly obvious.
Yeah, once the eyes climatize, I can see that there is a difference between the sky and the top of the mountain. Yeah.
Yep.
So we can try both, you guys, because night flight. Now take a look in here on my screen, you guys. You notice that we were just talking about. You can see on here the difference here between night dark and night bright. So that's perfect that Andrew was showing us that, you guys. Night bright means you've got a full moon probably, right?
Yep.
Total accidents. Look how much less there are of accidents when there's some kind of light from the moon. Fatal accidents 8 compared to 146 when it's dark. 19% compared to just the accident, percent of accident fatal, right? I mean, you look at that stuff and you think, I don't know if I want to be a real pilot. Ooh, and it's all about safety, you guys. It's always number one when pilot training is safety. It's number one. Here in the sim, we take chances left and right?
Hey, Jeff. I went and changed the time.
Sorry,
just
I had to chuckle,
make
Andrew. I'm not chuckling at you.
Yeah, I know. The hills are alive with the sound of
Andrew.
airplanes.
I'm sorry I chuckled in mid-phrase.
When I was coming, I was like, why are the hills so obvious? I mean, I know the moon's out and all. And I actually went to the settings and moved my time till later. It didn't change. So what I'm seeing is because of the moon.
because of the moon. Yeah, you got to change it to another month or further on in the month or something, Go get yourself a no moon night. And we're going to do that, guys. And we can do that with the sim, right? Oh, it looks great. I love moonlight, right? There's songs about that, right? And there's also the song that Jeff is talking about. The hills are alive. And that's, that's where that comes from, with the sound of airplanes, yeah. Full snow moon is tomorrow. See? That's why things are so bright. New moon. Oh, no, that's blue moon. So, you guys, this makes a big difference here, the difference between a dark night and a bright night. Isn't that interesting, too? Like, these kind of statistics is an amazing thing. And it makes you think, right? It actually gives you pause. It makes you think. All right, so challenges. Challenges. All right. Julie Forder? Yeah. Yeah, Julie Andrews is my stepsister, yeah. So the night flight challenges, you guys, the illusions, first of all. Lights along a straight path, such as a road, or lights on moving trains, believe it or not, can be mistaken for runway or approach lights. I have not seen this in the news, but I guess it could happen. Someone's actually landed on a train because they thought it was a runway. I don't know. How does that happen? Don't they expect that there's not supposed to be a runway here right now? Oh, look, the runway came to us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's moving.
It's moving.
Sing.
Look, it's a portable runway. I chuckle about it, but it must have happened or they wouldn't say this, right? Judging distance, though, is definitely evident, and we know this from the sim. A light from an airplane in the sim could be 1 mile away, could be 10 miles away, could even be 15 miles away, like I see a plane. In real life, you can actually see that get closer and closer. In real life, in daylight, you'll see it getting closer. It gets larger, 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 and larger. A light doesn't necessarily get larger and larger and larger. So you might think it's, oh, that got to be 10 miles away. Whoosh. And it's like, I guess it was closer, right? And so, this is the thing. The judging distance is horrible. And coming into a runway, and I remember the very first solo landing at night. Well, it wasn't a solo landing. It was the instructor was in the plane. But the first time I did my own landing at night to get my night rating, and it was a bit rough. I didn't judge where the wheels would actually touch the runway because it was dark. The runway might have runway lights way over there at 150 feet apart, but when you're actually sinking down to the runway and doing the flare, it's going to touch any minute, and boosh, okay, it touched right now. And so it's harder to land at night. Now, of course, you've got autopilot and auto land and auto this and auto that. Maybe it's okay, but we've got to learn how to do it manually first, right? Confusing lights. Approach and runway lights can be confused. Keep in mind, we're going to take a look at that in the sim. You should see green at the end you're landing on and red at the other end so that planes don't land in that direction. You should see runway lights. I don't have a section in here about lighting it at a runway at an airport at night, but blue taxiway lights. We'll go take a look while we're there before we leave, okay? And we'll take a look at the lighting around the airport just to see what it looks like. Quite honestly, it's a beautiful thing. You go to a very large airport. Maybe we'll go over to like Pearson Airport or something like that, and we'll see a sea of blue taxiway lights. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
and then we'll see the flashing yellow light before you get to the runway to make sure you don't get on the runway, and certainly the white lights that show you the runway. All of that, right? Hey Oz, thanks for hanging in there this long. Appreciate it. Good to see you, man, and thanks for giving a set of eyeballs to the presentation before I actually aired it tonight. Appreciate your help on that. You can see the PAPI lights easier at night. Yeah, and Jeff, that's true. The PAPI lights are aimed. They are focused so that you see that 3 degree. Or, in the case of London City Centre, you can see that 4.5 degree approach, and definitely easier at night. And, that's the purpose of them. They are very bright, intense lights on the field. And they are supposed to cut through fog too. If you're coming down at decision height and the fog is lifting, of course you have to still have a visual of the runway. You should still be able to see the PAPI lights even through the fog. We've actually done that, and in my IFR course we do that also. We see the PAPI lights. We don't actually still don't see the runway yet until decision height, right? Anyway, approach and runway lights can be confusing also. So here are the checklist items before we go to the field, you guys. I've covered I'm not wringing it out in any great detail, but we're going to look around the field first at the different kinds of lights, and then we're going to go through this checklist item and get the plane ready to go. Obviously, we need to check the lights of the plane, both inside and outside. That's an obvious. And when we're doing the walk around, you still got to look at the hinges of the elevator and the hinges of the ailerons and the flaps. that's a normal everyday walk around. You can't skip that because it's too dark. So you've got to have that flashlight, and I actually have 2 of them in my kit. As a matter of fact, you guys, this was one of the presents that I gave Jane when we were doing the flying lessons, and we moved from beginners into intermediate, where we introduced her to the Bonanza, the higher performance plane. And as a graduation present from her beginner course series, I gave her a dual flashlight like this. I mean, is that romantic or what? She was my student and is my friend, so it can't be romantic. But I'm saying this was for her to go on and take real lessons, and she actually did continue on and do real lessons, and she had her first dual flashlight, so that's pretty cool. Extra checklist items. Now, this flashlight, we can move it around to where we need it. Put it over there, put it over here. So let's look at the first item on the list. The first item is, let's move it out of the way. The first item is bring 2 flashlights, and one of them is an aviation red-white, at least. And both of mine are red-whites, right? As far as the flashing goes, Andrew, a lot of bicycle riders will use a flashing white light on the front.
Yeah. So
maybe that's it. Maybe they can use that for bicycles too, right? Or slow-moving vehicles, maybe. But, I was just thinking about why you would have a flasher on that. Let me move this out even further. There we go. Let your eyes adjust tonight by not exposing to bright light ahead of time. All right. And this is something that I cannot do tonight because here I am in the studio with multiple screens all around. I do have, listen to this, you guys. You might want to try the same thing. I do have a red image that I put up on the screens. I'll give you an idea right now what that looks like. It's called Red Monitor Fill. I've got it in both JPEG and PNG, but it's a 1920 by 1080, same as my screens resolution. When I run that, it opens up in a paint program or a photo program, and when I put that on, that will now project red into my cockpit if I don't need that screen. Now, obviously, this is my flying screen you're looking at right now, so I can't have it on this screen, but I'll put it on 6 other screens to get rid of that bright glaring light, because all those screens are bright glaring, and I'm trying to see in the sim in a dark environment like Andrew was just flying in. And it's crazy in the home cockpit. You wouldn't get that in real life. But you would get your G1000s, and if you look at the menu button, you'll see you can reduce the brightness of the actual screens, and there's also a dial for reducing the backlit buttons on your G1000 too. So, we can go and look at that also. But this is a good thing to do in your home cockpit when you got to get rid of some screens instead of just turning them off. And so I'll put that up on a number of screens here. My broadcast machine, and I've got 3 screens on there, and my sim machine where I've got 5 screens, and those screens will all be covered in red before we get started with our flight. And then hopefully my eyes will adjust by the time we get out into the field, right? Mythbusters did an episode on why pirates wear eye patches, and it apparently was a way to keep one eye used to the dark all the time. Huh. Yeah, it takes 20 minutes for your eyes to completely adjust. Yeah, and this happens, Paul, here in Florida, my wife and I are walking in our community at night. We walk our dog probably by 11 o'clock at night, and any other neighbor's dog that needs a walk. And we'll look up you can see the stars beautifully from here. Usually at night it's a black sky. I don't have the light pollution like I do in Toronto, like Paul. You look up in Toronto and it's just sort of a grayish kind of blah. You don't see any stars, rarely, in Toronto. And that's because of the lights of the city, right? Planetariums are built on hillsides out in the middle of nowhere for that reason. They don't want that stray pollution, light pollution coming in from anywhere. And so here, while we're taking our walk, we can actually look up. If I block out the street lamps, every once in a while, there is a street lamp around here, right? If I can block that out so that it doesn't hit my eye, and I watch the sky, all of a sudden, poof, all those stars come out. It's like, there they are. Oh, there's some more. It's like they're not moving. My eyes are just finally opening up and being more receptive to the night sky. And that really, I've read also 20 minutes. I mean, I think it was in our ground school we learned this. 20 minutes for your eyes to adjust to night. So, that whole idea, I think one of you joked about, was it you, Krabby? You joked about the eye patch. Maybe that's a great idea, right? Put 2 pirate's eye patches on. I do have one of those things for long flights, a black patch that goes over both eyes with elastic on it, and you can put that on when you're doing long flights and you want to catch a nap. Maybe that's what we need before we go to our night flight, right? Not while you're in the plane, because it doesn't build confidence with your customers. Yeah. Yeah. A power cut in New York once, and people phoned the police because they could see the night sky and stars and the Milky Way and were freaked out. Yeah. All right, so know your route ahead of time and plan for altitudes and arrival procedures. So know your altitudes for sure. And I'm going to give you a sample of how to figure this out, you guys, because you could be flying along and there's a radio tower. You could be flying along and there's radio towers should have lights on them. They should have flashing red lights. But you could be flying along and hit a church steeple. You shouldn't be that low, but you didn't know you were that low. You didn't get the right barometric pressure. So you could be flying along and hit a hill, as some famous person, basketball player, some famous person did in a helicopter recently. You know, I mean, they hit a hill. What? They didn't see it? Well, no, it was kind of foggy. But yeah, didn't see that comment. Great minds. Okay. Complete dark adaptation can take several hours. Nah. 20 minutes, Jeff. That's all I got. And then I don't have any more patience. No, but you're absolutely right. As the flight goes on, you know, why do they put a red light in a dark room? Huh? It's not just for an effect at Hollywood, you guys. So, you know, red light. If you look at the frequency of the spectrum, Jeff knows this, many of you would know this also. You look at the radio frequencies, you look at VHF, you look at UHF, you look at TV frequencies, you look at all of them. Color has a frequency also, and red is at the bottom of the spectrum, and it is the least intrusive to our eyeballs, you know, and we can still see. Then there's infrared, which we can't see. Pay close attention to weather en route and destination for visibility. Now, again, this is one of those things in real life. If we have weather en route and we don't like it, we can go and change it. But in real life, of course, you've got to pay attention to that. A nice little tool that I have, I think I mentioned it once before, it's called METAR-TAF, as one word. I showed this to you before on my phone. I don't have it up on my screen right now, but it shows a windsock on a blue background, and it's called METAR-TAF, and I use that on my phone. In real life, I can go to any airport and find weather information, like the ATIS information. Yeah. Jeff says that's only red light for developing B7W film. Huh? Who does that these days? Well, I don't know if it's B7W film, but I know that my wife was and still is artistic and a photographer, and I built her a darkroom in our home for the longest time until we went digital, and then we were okay. And she did black and white film too all the time to develop her own stuff. Pay close attention to weather. Got it. And what's next on the list, Howard? Well, during the walk around, have your nav and strobe lights on for checking. So the strobe lights, if there's no one else around, they're not close, certainly you've got to check them, but you could check those from inside. All right, you don't have to get up close and look right at them and go, yeah, they're working. They're working. There, is that good enough? You get the idea? Is that a good analogy? And so you can do that from inside the plane, make sure there's no ground support around you. People around you will get blinded, right? You could even say strobe check. I've heard that before, right? They're doing a strobe check. Don't look at their plane. So you got to make sure they're working. You can't be out at the hold short, flip on your strobes and go, whoops, they're not working. You can't get out of the plane at the hold short. So you do have to do a quick check for that, but try it, see they flash once, turn them off again, you know. So, okay, that's the strobe check. Now I get out with my red flashlight and I look around, and my white flashlight and look in the hinges and stuff like that. All right. Next, use published ILS for double checking approaches to land. Even if you're not doing an ILS, you guys, you can look at the published approaches. They'll talk about 3,000 to intercept the ILS, and then the elevation of the field is 680. KPAE is 680. I'm sure Arlington is close to that because it's just a little north. And it's got all the information you need on an approach chart. Almost there. Keep your cockpit under low light or red light. We said that. And then request flight following if available, so someone has your back. Somebody in the area is flying without lights. Someone in the area has got a drone, especially at low flying, if we're low flying. Someone in the area happens to be coming at you and you're not seeing them in your field of view, like a 3/4 view behind you, 270 view behind you, right? So that sort of thing. It's always good to have a radar watching you, right? All right, so you guys, there is a whole section on the FAA website. This is free for anyone to look at. Now, it is USA-based, FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, and they get into how the eyeball perceives light. They get into a lot of interesting stuff here. And I used some of their information during this presentation. And back in my days when I was first taking ground school and helping teach ground school, we had to refer to FAA for some of their notes and stuff. So there's a scan code for you, or there's the URL if you want to go there and get more information than what we're giving you tonight in this session. All right, now I want to mention, this is something I just added yesterday, because I do this all the time, but I didn't have it in the presentation. And that is to check for your maximum elevation figure on your VNC chart. Now this comes out of SkyVector. I've given them credit here. I've got permission from them to publish anything from them in my presentations at any time, and as long as I give them credit. And this is our online VNC. You know, this is our navigation charts, and this is exactly what the paper-based navigation charts look like in real life, and you can use them for flight planning. After a while, you get to know what some of the symbols are. I can see a symbol here that looks like a mountain with two peaks on it. That's actually two towers, and it gives you the elevation of them. It gives you AGL, and it also gives you MSL. What I'm really pointing at here, you guys, if you do nothing else with the chart, is to look at this maximum elevation figure, or MEF, and that's this bigger number you see right here. There's one in each quadrant. You see the quadrant? Just look for the measured lines all the way around, and Jeff can tell you in chat what this quadrant represents. And there's, in each quadrant, they'll give you the maximum elevation figure. So in this whole square, the maximum elevation that you will encounter at some point is 7,200. All right, so we're heading this way, you guys. We're starting here at Arlington, and we're actually following the train track, and we're heading in between the mountains. This is where Andrew was when we just looked at him a while ago, right here, heading towards Darrington. And so if this has a maximum elevation of 7,200, I'm going to guess it's one of these two mountains, but we're going to go right over this one right here. And look at this dot right here, this elevation figure, 6880 right here. So guess what? This flight plan today, we're starting out at probably 600 feet. I'm saying probably. I could probably read it right here somewhere. Arlington, 142? Is it only 142? Because KPAE right here, Arlington's here, yeah, KPAE is 680. Anyway, am I reading that wrong? Am I not focusing way in there? Okay, lots of information in there. They've got AWOS for our weather. But the point is, you could start out at 600 and climb to 2,000, but you're going to have trouble as you come through here, because maybe this number is something in your way. All right, and it's going to be nighttime. We might even do a right turn and hit a mountain. So we've got to be careful, especially at night. All right, so this is what I'm saying in all my night flights. From the 90s up to now, I always look in the VNC chart of my planned route, and I use, back in the day, we actually used a highlighter tape, or we used highlighter itself, an actual highlighter, yellow highlighter, to mark our route with our drift lines and all that stuff that we did back then. But you know, now it's all electronic. But the point is that we would first make our route, and then in every quadrant we'd look at the MEF and figure out our cruising altitude. So the general rule is you want to be above the maximum elevation, and the maximum elevation is 7,200. So I want at least 1,000 feet so that I can breathe. And what this means is peace of mind. There is no way you'll have an accident where, oops, how did I miss that? In real life, you don't have a second chance if you hit something. Here in the sim, it's like, oh, I better try it this time a little, make 1,000 feet higher, you know. And so we're lucky in the sim that we can get so complacent about these things, but in real life this is a very serious thing. So we want to try to mimic real life as much as possible. So I'll be 1,000 feet above this. I'm going to set, generally 1,000 feet above, I'm going to set 8,000 as my cruising altitude. Typically it'd be 8,200 to 8,500, but now we got to think about the east-west thing. Remember, you guys, what's our VFR cruising altitudes? How do we check that?
Surly Dev, I believe so.
Does the MEF include towers, etc.? Yep. It's anything maximum elevation, meaning anything at all. It could be man-made. There could be a tower on top of the mountain, and they'll take that into account. It's anything you can hit, right? And it includes the towers. Yep. So I do see a spot elevation here of 5090. So it's not here. And where they put it doesn't necessarily mean that's where it is. Although this does look like a high elevation right here. There's a big one over here, 6880 already at this point. And we're going to be coming right over 3 fingers, you guys. This is the way we're going to go. So the idea, I'll show you in a minute, maybe it's in the next slide right here, just a minute. Yeah, here it is. So here's a little nav map. We're heading out from Arlington, 142 feet is it where it starts. You think, oh, this is great. We don't have to go to 8,000 feet, Howard. But if you take a look at, this is the mountain I was just looking at. Here's 3 fingers right in here. And here is the mountain on the other side with that maximum elevation of 7,200. So yeah, we've got to think about that. Even though I'm going to go through the valley, what if I stray? What if I don't quite get it? What if it's too dark to see the mountains and I stray over to the mountain? So let's try it low to get that feeling of, wow, there's mountains on both sides of me. And what if we can make it so we don't see those mountains with no moonlight, right? We've got to stick to our guns, right? This is very tricky, and you might not want to fly that low at night, although it's beautiful. It's beautiful till it's not, you know. East is odd and west is even odder. Nice, that's cool. It's even odder. But here's the rule, you guys. I mean, you can use that expression if you want, but the rule is simply this: from 0. Now this is your track, not your heading. Your heading could be compensating for wind. This is your track along the ground. 0 to 179 magnetic. 0 to 179. 179 is odd. So you need to be odd plus 500. That's VFR, odd plus 500. Now from 180 degrees, which is even, 180, up to 0 again, it's even plus 500. All right, so it could change as we do this flight, maybe. So here we're going to go like this. This is, what is that, 60 degrees? No, 30 degrees, 90 degrees, 45 degrees. So this is maybe 45. So here we are, odd plus 500, and it starts at 3,000, right? So 3,500 I should be for if I'm cruising through here. I'll be climbing, so I'll probably just climb. Now as I go through here, my maximum elevation in this quadrant, 7,200. I should be going to 8,000 right away. Like from here, start climbing to 8,000 and just climb at 8,000 and then just go over the mountain. Now what we can do to show effect tonight, I'm going to stay lower. I'm going to fly lower, like 1,000 feet above population, which is the rule. 500 feet above unpopulated areas, 1,000 feet above populated areas. So the lowest we can go here is 1,000 feet above the terrain, 1,000 feet AGL. All right, I'll do that at the start so we can get that feeling of being in the canyon, if we can. But we'll start our climb about here, because I want to be able to turn here and go over the mountains. And if we're going over the mountain, we'll probably need 8,000 feet for that. We'll start our climb back here. We get to 8,000 feet by here and decide when to turn. It might be over here by the time we turn. And then head over the mountains and see what that looks like. Slide down the other side and come back in again. And here you can see this, believe it or not, from here to here, look at the elevation difference. 499 for this one. All right, so the circuit height here, I went straight overhead the field at 1,500, joined the downwind, and came in for a landing. We'll do the same exact flight tonight, all right? There is no plan or flight plan, Sorty Dev. This is a VFR seat of the pants flight. All right, I didn't make a flight plan with a bunch of POIs and a bunch of waypoints and all of that. It's follow the leader and follow it on your map. All right, and we'll follow the tags along as we go. Let's see. Oh, that's our flight plan from Saturday. Yeah, right. And UF will be right back. If you have extra displays in your home cockpit setup, use a blank red image, as I did, and that'll give you a low light red environment without glaring screens. All right. And I'm going to try to do that here. All right. So our flight plan, I did put it into Sky Vector just to see what it came up with right here. And this was at the moment. So this was last night, something like 1 in the morning. I thought I'd give it a try. And here, KAWO, I think I put in this. I think Darrington is IS2. I think. But anyway, I just put those 3 points in just so that it would stretch out. If I didn't put those 3 points in, it would do a direct like from here to here. And it's like, no, I wanted to go way out just to see what it would give us for a nav log, you guys. And you can see in here, it actually picked up the real winds at the time. It actually gives us our track. It gives us our true heading, magnetic heading, which, you know, this is what we used to have to do with our whiz wheel back in the day, with one hand even. We used to calculate all this stuff. Look at the ground speed here, look at the ground speed there, look at our distances, our estimated time en route, and all of that, and you notice it picked 8,000 for me. I actually didn't pick 8,000 when I made this flight plan. So it's interesting that it put 8,000, and maybe it's looking at, this is a little nav map screen, but I did show you an actual sky vector screen before that. And I'll just, for the sake of the discussion, let's just go to skyvector.com, just so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the area here. This is generally the flight plan, and there's the flight plan there. And you can set, here it's 080 for the flight level. So you can set your elevation that you're going to travel at. And do a simple thing like this, and then just simply go to the navlog, and there it is. The navlog is done for you. It's pretty cool. Whatever you do, never file a flight plan here, because this is for real pilots, you guys. Don't file a flight plan. I don't think you would be able to, because you don't have an account, but I do, and I have filed flight plans from here in the past. But this is a real pilot's resource, and if you take a look in here, you can see there's our MEFs right there. 7.2. You can get actually a closer look here. You can see 53 is there, 50, 90, 51. Somewhere in this quadrant, there's 7,200. So maybe down here, 60. I think this is the closest one to it anyway. But I don't see it popping up here. But anyway, you get the idea, all right, of how this all works, you guys. And that's a free resource. Go in here to look up your airport. If you right-click any airport, you can just say, add it to the plan. There's add to the plan, or here's go to any of their documents. So let me get this out of the way. If you click or just hover on the name of the airport, you can see in here all of the PDFs of all the approaches and departures. All the published stuff is here, including the airport diagram. All right, so that's actually very cool. A great resource if you're looking for PDFs. I don't know if I have an account. Maybe I do. But it's a great thing to have. Nice resource. Now, you guys, we do have Navigraph. We do have the flight planner. Here's the flight planner from Microsoft, that hidden gem, you guys, that we can play with to do our flight planning also, and charts. And we can go in here and do the same sort of thing, all right, and start planning our whole flight, getting our charts, doing all this stuff. And this is a free thing, you guys. And I think I'll just do this for you. All your resources so you can plan flights, because it takes more planning at night. All right.
I just took a look outside my airplane from the exterior view and looked up. There's the Milky Way.
Now, my eyes aren't accustomed to your dark screen, Andrew, so I don't know what you're seeing. You're actually seeing a Milky Way in there?
Yep.
Right above where it says flaps, I see some kind of light. Yeah, it's very tiny. I don't know if everyone on stream can see that too. Okay, there's your mountain, and then you're up higher, yeah.
Straight up from the mountain peak right now, it's the Milky Way.
I'm starting to see it now, but I've still got glaring screens, so I'm going to have to tone things down as I start the walk around. But that's pretty cool, Andrew. Isn't that nice? Yep. That is really nice, you guys, and it's realistic also. So let me just come back here for a second, you guys. The walk around is important, just as it is in the daytime. Most of you in the sim won't do a walk around, but you inspect every single wheel. You inspect the brakes. You inspect the brake lines. Wheel pants have a little opening on the side. He's actually looking in there, or he's supposed to be looking in there. And most of us would rather not have the wheel pants, because the wheel pants get in the way of our inspections. But you're always checking these things on every single flight. You're checking the propeller blade. You're checking it for cracks. You actually run your finger along the leading edge of the blade to make sure there's no cracks or nicks in it. You're checking that there's no nests inside the engine area and the engine compartment. You're checking that the air filter is clear. So tonight we're not going to go through this whole walk around to make sure everything is perfect, but that's what you'll do, and you'll need that flashlight and of course the backup flashlight, because your flashlight might fail. All right, and so that's why you always have that backup flashlight, because you got to have this. You can't say, oh, my flashlight failed, so I didn't finish the walk around. We never do that. So can you tell from this picture what kind of plane this is? Who can tell? And Fly Boriho, while you guys are answering that, I'm just going to read what you have on there. You were off. MEF, natural terrain feature, or natural vertical obstacle. When a natural terrain feature or natural vertical obstacle, such as a tree, is the highest feature within the quadrangle. Add the possible vertical error of the source to the above figure. 100 feet or half the counter interval. Huh. Wow. Paul says DA40. What's your hint? There are others with a castering front wheel. What's your hint? Wombi says I agree with DA40. He agrees with Paul.
Well, you can sort of see the canopy flipped up.
Paul, you should have stuck with the DA40 because this is not a twin. This is a single engine for sure. Take a look. It's a single engine in the middle. It's not the DA42. The nose wheel gear. Yeah, now it could have been a DA20 though. Could have been a DA50. But it is a DA40, you guys, because take a look. What did you say, Andrew?
No, I was just going to say because the canopy's flipped forward.
Oh, okay, right. Canopy's flipped forward, yeah. So what are you saying, DA20?
No, 40.
It's a 40. And you guys, take a look at the step right here. Remember what Tommy said, the developer of the DA40. Remember what he said on Tuesday? Is this Tuesday? Wow, a week ago. Wow, I better get that video out. So remember what he said? I said to him, it looks like you step from the front. He goes, yeah, the back's too thin. The back of the wing's too thin. Whereas on, the Bonanza, any low-wing plane, even the DA62, you get on from the back. You'll see this step sitting by the back of the wing.
Yeah, the 42 is the same way.
Is the 42 the same way? From the back of the wing?
Yeah, you get on the back.
Yeah. And here, the DA40, you get on at the front. Wow, The gear is different than the DA40. It's got wheel pants, that's the only difference. But that is a castering front wheel. Yeah. UAF says it's different than the DA40. Yeah. I think the DA40, the canopy opens this way also, Andrew. Interesting. Anyway, you're stepping on from the front, and it's very rare to see that, you guys, coming on from the front. Wow. All right. So let's fly from Arlington to Frontier Air Park. This is our route today, and as long as we want to keep flying after that. And then I would suggest you fly from your local airport where you know your landmarks and head to a sparse countryside to see the full effect of night flying. And I'm urging you to also try to fly over water, which we may do. I'm going to take a look at our timeline here. I'm leaving us enough time so we can do this flight and have a little extra time. And there is an ocean right nearby here, all right? Not far, not a few miles west of Arlington, there's an ocean. So we can head over the water and get the effect of nothing. Get the effect of nothing. Dim the lights in your home cockpit area. Use a red light if you can. All right, and then we'll come back to the summary and finish up from there with a Q&A, you guys, and that's what we shall do. Let's move over to our flight screen and get Andrew and I going. Let's have Andrew in the air first, see where he's at. He's coming back in. Are you? Are you coming into Frontier? Is that what you're doing? And you are flying the 40, right?
No.
No. No, because you got an analog screen. What are you flying? Can't tell. It's dark. My eyes
3,
are
2, 1.
Can't tell.
There you go.
It's too dark, Andrew. What do you got?
152.
Oh, wow. Okay. I can't tell. The screen is too dark. It's my eyes have to refocus. I got all these bright screens around me, you guys. Studio lights are on too. They'll go off. So I might as well start setting it up now. Studio lights are going off there. And red light's coming on there. And like that. Oh, that's really, I think this is going to be my new look. Crazy FAA allows night ops VFR, no IFR rating. Only country that does this. No. Flyboy, I'm sure. I have my night rating for Canada, and I didn't have my IFR at the time. Night rating was the second thing I did after my PPL in Canada, because it's a separate rating, right?
But you're not controlled by the FAA, so it doesn't matter.
But it's the same thing, Andrew, what we're saying. I'm not saying the FAA is doing something strange. Canada does the same exact thing. We can fly night without IFR rating. That's what he's saying too. It's like FAA allows no IFR rating, right?
Oh, okay. You're going with the only country that does it as far as he knows.
Right. Canada does it too. So I don't know if other countries do it also, but all right, I got something going on. What kind of a light have I got going on here? That's me with that bright light. Let's go resume and hope my plane is still in one piece. And what light is on? That's my landing taxi. Okay, some light is on. And that's my flashlight, and there's my head tracker. There we go, everywhere I look for my walk around. Now let's just have a look. I do have the chocks on too. Let's just get down here. Chocks come off.
Still on my
Static
screen.
pitot tube. Oh, static pitot tube right here. I can't reach it from here. You can't get there from here. Isn't that something? And this is all we're doing for a walk around, you guys, because we're going to do more. The effect is more on the flight. W, E, there we go. Remove before flight. We also have, look at the flags at the front to show you that the bird area, the air intake for the engine is blocked with a bird cover. And so we just move over there and get rid of those two. So that's pretty, you know, if you've been in career mode, you guys, you'll know that. Here we see a step right here for your left foot. And go up and have a look at the fuel. And there's our pitot tube also. So, wow. I don't have the landing light on, so I'm just surprised that that's on. Yeah, boy, is that blinding. All right, open the door and get inside. Now, is it still on? Looks like it might be. Let's just try. Shouldn't be on because the battery's not on. All right. So typically what you'll do in a walk around, you guys, next thing I want to do is get rid of this tablet because it's just too bright. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that and then pull it right off the screen and minimize. Out of the way. There we go. That's out of the way now too. Flashlight is on my head, like I said I would do. First thing I want to do is check that I'm in both. Something you should do in career mode too, you guys. Make sure you're on both. And I want to make sure that the flaps are down before my walk around. So typically I would have come in here first, dropped the flaps, checked the fuel gauges while the power's on, and then turn the power off. That's all you do at that first. You come in, turn it on, drop the flaps, check the fuel gauges, and then turn off your key. Put the key on the dash. And the reason you put the key on the dash is while you're walking around the plane, especially while you're checking the propeller, you'll know the keys are not in the ignition because they're sitting on the dash. That's what we do for safety reasons. All right, so now we'll say that we've done all that. We did the walk around. We checked all the things we're supposed to check. And now we're inside and we'll go through our normal checklist. Now that's why you need a flashlight inside your cockpit, because now you got to read your checklist. Many of us will have it on our phone, so we're good. What if your phone dies? Oops, I forgot to charge it. You know, there's that too, right? I have, my backup is my iPad, and I also have paper-based. So I also have, right over here, the minute I turn my head, you will see the screen change. I have my notepad right here. You can't see, oh, you can see that with this light, because there's still a bright light over here, that's why. Let's get rid of that light. Not so bright, okay, and what's over here? Get rid of that screen, not so bright. And I just have some bright screens over here. But anyway, I have, this is my lap. This goes around the leg. It's got Velcro, it's got pencils, and it's got a notepad. And I still use that in the cockpit. I can still see it perfectly under red light. And so that's what you're going to do when it comes to the weather and it comes to the ATIS. You still write things down, you guys. Now, actually, I have seen in a helicopter that has lots of windows, I've seen them actually write their information with a grease pencil on the windshield. It's hard to do in a fixed wing because it's way up there. But in a helicopter, it's right there beside you and there's glass all around. It's pretty cool. Some people will not like that. Yeah. So Flyboy says, at any rate, I do not enjoy single engine in real life night flying. Tell us why. And Beardy says Australia does it too, yeah. What is the ACS for CAA night rating? Boy, look at that. He's throwing the acronyms at me. He's really getting me working here, you guys. What is the ACS for CAA night rating? What you mean what I talked about earlier? 10 hours, dual and solo, about $2,500. Has to be an endorsement in your logbook. Is that what you're talking about? Anyway, let's get this thing rolling. Let's get this Boeing going. And we'll put power on first. This actually should have been on already because I see it's already on the backup battery. So that probably should have been on already. And then we will go through our normal checklist. Beacon light is on. Fuel is already on both. And you would also, if you take a look back outside, let's just step out for a second, you'll notice that, if I can turn my head enough, over there, Howard. Okay, it's not letting me do it. Yeah, way over there. Anyway, yeah, you'd have to walk out there, I guess. You know, in the new sim here, we actually have to walk. You gotta walk it out. And when you're doing the walk around, you're actually checking. Now, you shouldn't have your strobes on, but you're checking that your nav lights work. As I look down, that should be my strobe light. No. No, that is my strobe light, but it doesn't turn it off. Okay, so that's not mapped for some reason. All right, back in the plane. So you would go around and check your plane while you're there. Now let's just get rid of, first of all, let's turn on some panel lights. Down here on the left in the 172, know where your panel lights are. In the DA40, they're up here. And the reason I'm turning them on first is because I won't be able to find them afterwards when I turn off the spotlights. So up here are our two overhead lights. I'm turning those off now so I can get used to the night. And you'll notice that all I've got now is my screens. Now I've already turned this screen down to 30%, but let me just show you where that is. If we hit the menu here, I'll zoom in to Shift 1. And it is a bit dim, you guys, but for my eyes, that's going to be fine once we get going. This was set at 50%, no, 30% by default. And I've set it for 4%. And that's why it's a bit dim. Because as I get flying night flight, this thing is going to be way too bright. It's going to wreck my night vision. And that's the menu button right there. You guys see that? Okay, that's the menu button. Actually, Andrew, I'm just going to move you out of the way for the moment because there's things I'm showing them.
Not a problem.
And I know you're okay with it, so I'll just move you out for a moment here. And you can see that with the dimmers turned on that I turned on down here, you can see the things that you need to see now. Now the avionics switch isn't on yet, so you don't see the MFD stuff yet. But you'll notice that that now puts a light, backlight on the backup instruments, and it also keeps this on too. The engine isn't started yet, so I got to get going before I kill the battery, and then Jeff will have another good laugh, like the last time. Right, Jeff? I don't know if he had a good laugh, but he probably was shaking his head when Howard left it sitting with the battery on all the time. All right, you notice that you don't even see the controls right in here. Things are starting to disappear already, you know? So I'm going to make sure that mixture's all the way in, and all I have, the other lever I only have is my throttle, and my throttle is going to be a finger up to the knuckle. No, it's just going to be a 1/4 inch or so in, just to start with. All right, and then if you've done this in the daytime, you'd know where the fuel pump switch is, and you put your fuel pump on, and then away we go. And you check that you've got some fuel going, and then you turn on your avionics. And the reason they do it in that order, you guys, is avionics could take a surge when you first start the engine. You start the engine, you're starting the alternator, there could be a surge before the regulator actually gives you that constant voltage. And so we always leave the avionics off first until we get the engine running and then turn it back on, right? That's the idea. So let's just make sure parking brake is on. And again, you got to know where it is because it's not lit. There it is. I push it in and I pull it back out again. So again, these are things to get to know so that you can find them just by feel instead of a light. There isn't a light on everything, right? Now with that on, I still put both feet on the toe brakes and I get it ready to start the engine. I've turned it to both and I've got my hand on the throttle. Prop clear. I've got the volume down low so we can still talk, but let me bring it up just a little. At night I rely more on the sound of the engine also. Yeah, and that's true, Surly Dev, although people think I'm strange. I don't turn the radio on until the engine's running and I listen to it in the car. Anyway, things are running. The first thing you do is check to make sure that your the oil pressure is in the green. That is the most important part when we first start up. And you know, that could be something you could learn in a day flight, so it doesn't matter at night, but we're always checking that as soon as we start up. The oil temperature will eventually come up. The vacuum will come up with RPMs, and if there's a voltage light on, that would mean it's not charging, but we're okay so far. In the WB Sim, that wouldn't work at 880. I'm going to bring the RPM up to above 900 and make sure it's still charging. But you can look down here to see that the electrical is working okay. I've got 28 volts to play with, and I'm good. And my fuel quantity is good for this flight. Everything looks great. Now, the normal run-up, I would be checking magnetos left, right. I'd also check the electrical system, make sure it's not discharging. But now I'll put on my avionics, and we should see another screen. I just turned on avionics, but you know what? I don't think it's mapped. And so, look at that, you guys. If you can't find it, you got to put on the overhead strobe, right? I turn that off. Nav is on, taxi land, right? And over here, avionics. Is it really on? And look at that, it's not mapped. 1, 2, there we go. Wow, look at that. So my white switches on my Alpha, which always worked, don't seem to be working tonight. And now I'm going to just press the right button, and now the engine instruments are over here. All right, and there's the normal MFD and engine instruments and PFD, and I've got both of them set for 3% for brightness, so they don't wreck my night vision. Okay. You can tell that my nav light's working over there. You can also tell that my beacon light's working. Over here I should see green. Yep, there's our green. It's actually a bit brighter than I think it would normally be, but that's fine. And we're all set. We'll say the run-up's done and we're ready to call. So let me just pull it back to idle, make sure it's not going to stall. Good. Okay, and I'll bring it back up again. All right, let's get say intentions running, and then we will roll from there, you guys. I want to get our clearance and head out, and you know the route. Anything that I've missed?
There's no tower at Arlington?
No, it's CTAF.
Yep.
So Flyboy says, I said at any rate, he says, I do not enjoy single engine in real life night flying. Can't see where I'm going if engine out. It takes another level, a whole new level of awareness, that's for sure. Now, because I'm looking at other screens for the moment, you guys, I'm going to turn off my head tracker. Sure I am. There we go. And try to get this into a normal screen. Just get this going. That would normally be about there. And then my back screen will be there. My focus screens will be there and there. Got it. And back. And then this will be landing, looking over the hood. Okay, I've got everything working. All right. Is VFR night flying on a unit runways allowed? Gear DDP, I'm not sure of that sentence. VFR night flying on an unlit runway allowed. Right, I see. Yep. Oh, sure. I mean, if the airport doesn't have lighted runways, if you think you can land safely, it's all up to the pilot, right? I see what you mean, unlit runways, yeah. There are, just so you guys know, in real life, runways can be turned on with using the microphone, all right? Some can. I know over at Buttonville, that was one of them. As you fly near the airport, you know from your chart, you know from your map, you know there's supposed to be an airport here somewhere, but it's vastly dark. Everywhere you look is just dark. I'm sure it's here somewhere. You would click your microphone, and I think it's 5 times. I haven't done this for a while. I think it's 5 times, and all of a sudden, boom. But it might be 4 times for normal brightness and 5 times for dimmer, or I forget the exact rules. I'd have to go back and review that again. But if I went back in for a night flight in a real plane after being away from it for a while, I would take an instructor with me anyway, just to make sure, and I would ask these questions, 5 clicks, right? You'd be like, no, it's only 3. Oh, okay then. And I'd fine tune my knowledge again and refresh my memory. But you can click the microphone so it sounds like this. That's 4, sorry, there's 5. And so it sounds like that, and that would actually turn on the lights. If you believe they got such a technology, that is pretty amazing. And I'm an electronics guy going, wow, that's cool. And the lights all of a sudden pop on, and hey, there's the runway, okay, now I can land. But you can land, certainly. But let me say this, it's dangerous. You'll see, I mean, even in the movies, they'll light fires all along the runway so you can see. Look at Die Hard. He lights his lighter onto the fuel, and now we've got a runway. I mean, it's dangerous. And unless someone can put some kind of ground reference on there, float flying at night, you can't see a log in the water. You can't see a person in the water. You don't land a float plane at night. There's, but I have actually seen this at a hunter's camp. They had floating candles. They weren't the little tiny candles on your dining room table. They were great big things like this, but from the air, they were floating candles along the strip, and they had already checked with the boat to make sure that there was no logs. And we landed there. Actually, I wasn't pilot in command, but I was in the right seat. It was cool. So it's better with lights. There's no law says you can't if it is an actual runway, right? I've never seen the law on that, but I don't know if I'd even want to. You might think you're going to touch down and slam right into it, right? I'm not sure that would be good, right? Some airport lighting is required for night ops. Yeah, I would bet it would be right in the NOTAM. I would bet it'd be right in the notes for that airport. Yep, absolutely. All right, anything I've missed? MSFS in the window taking up 2/3 of my 43-inch monitor, and then right alt-clicking the MFD, having them as external windows positioned under the sim view. That is cool, Surly Dev. That is cool. Right now I got two G1000s right here underneath the camera that are facing me at all times with the proper buttons. So I don't even need this view, but I'm leaving it up there for you guys. But typically the view that I would use is this one or even this one, because I already have my G1000 here in front of me in pop-out screens, all right? And this way can be devoted to scenery, but I'm leaving that in there for you guys so you can see what's going on. All right, let's get rolling. Now, I wanted to go and tune in. I'm gonna say new flight, and then it's going to pick up, I'll just let you guys see what's happening here. It's gonna pick up where I am. It's looking inside the sim and going, oh, you're at Arlington, and here are all your frequencies after I've pressed new flight, KAWO, that's it. And you can notice in here it's got a CTAF over here at 122.725. All right, so I'm just gonna click that. It's already tuned in. I don't even have to turn the knobs. This is great. All right, but you should go and check AWOS. You should check the weather. And I do see that Andrew's already flown through here and he said that it was all right. But I'm trusting him. And it looks pretty clear where I am right now. All right, so let's take a look at the runway diagram. I'm gonna move this over and I'm just going to do calls. Now I might get to my destination airport and there might be a tower, so that's why I'm used to paying attention, you guys. So let's take a look at the MFD. That's the easiest way to do this right now. And we will zoom in using the zoom on the MFD and just see where we are. And there is this major runway here, 34, I think it is. Or 16. What does that say? 34? Looks like 34 in it.
The long one? Yeah, it's
north,
34, yeah.
That's sort of north. And we always took this one to go west when we were going into Payne Field, but we'll take this one right here. So you can see right now I'm going to taxi out. I'm just going to say taxiing to the active, or I'm going to say taxiing to 34. And I'm just going to go out here, turn right, and follow it to the hold short, and I'll announce that I'm taking off from there. So there's the plan. Back to here. And from there I'm going to turn around 180 degrees. First thing I'm going to do is just check my brakes. I'm moving a little bit, and toe brakes. Perfect. Yeah, brakes are working. And some people actually test left first and then right second, just to make sure they've got directional, especially on the diamond, you guys. On the diamond, yes. Look at this. We're so spoiled with having an MFD, we can actually see where we are on the map. Now, look at the airport before we take off, before we get going, you guys. I'm just give you a smaller view here. You can see up ahead there are taxiway lights, beautiful blue, purpley lights. And you can see there are lights on buildings. Someone's in the air. You can see that there are runway or taxiway designators. You can see all kinds of pretty lights. It's beautiful at night, and this is the romance of night flying, you guys. It's gorgeous. Now there's actually a body over there I didn't see till the last second. It's like, oh, okay, then I'll make sure I keep going straight. You can see I'm heading straight out here, and if you look at the MFD again, you can see that I am in the right direction. I'm going to go straight out right now and turn right on the taxiway and get to this hold short. You could go up to this one and then over to there, but we'll just go right at the start, the piano keys, and away we go from there. That's the plan. So we make that announcement now that I've turned around, and this is Arlington traffic because it's on the CTAF, you guys. So we would press the mic button and say, Arlington traffic, this is Skyhawk, Fox Lima Tango Fox, taxiing to active runway 34 for an east departure. Arlington traffic. Now I'm saying it slowly, you guys. I mean, you can say it fast and you can try to be like, yeah, this is the pilot speaking. But you don't have to do all that. and nobody else cares. So I'm doing it because this is a lesson night. I'm going to do it slowly every time so you can hear what I'm saying, just so you can get some of that going. And don't forget, before we finish tonight, you can't really see them, but we're going to be giving away 2 of these. Some of you already have them from winning these on a Tuesday night. These are the US VFR cheat sheet, laminated front and back, full of important phrases that you need to know. And this is the IFR cheat sheet, both sides. And you'll get the pair of these in the mail. And Noiseboy Mike is going to be our official shipping representative for that. And we'll draw that tonight as soon as we finish the flight, before we finish tonight. And one of you will be the lucky recipient of that. AIM 7.8 runway lighting. A runway on an aerodrome that is used at night shall display 2 parallel lines and fixed white lights visible for at least 2 miles to mark takeoff and landing. So how'd they do it out in the field? I don't know. Maybe we were illegal. Ooh. All right. We don't expect anything to come back on the radio because, you know, there's our taxi light. Now let me just show you another thing, taxi versus landing. All right, that's a taxi light which pushes down on the ground and goes shows you the ground in front of you. Turn it off. Now I'm pointing out to the runway, so I'm not too worried about blinding people in real life. There's the landing light. This one has a farther throw and a farther aim, further out into the distance. Again, we go back to taxi light, mostly on the ground. All right, if we see that from the outside, let's start from this angle here. You can see it's like a high beam for landing and a low beam for taxi. And again, some people might not know what that is. And I've got a helicopter watching me. I'm in trouble. They caught up to me. I must have landed at a runway without any lighting. I'm in trouble. So remember I said we'd be going off to the right? Easy enough to do from out here, you guys. Now whoever is nearby, once I go to outside view, it is kind of loud, but that's how it works at airports, right? So I did say I would turn here. You notice if I keep going, that's definitely a runway sign right there. So if I keep going, now I'm going to head out to the runway. No. And that's the other runway going that way, you guys. So I'm supposed to go here. And this is important at night because people do get disoriented and people do end up on the wrong runway. It does happen in real life because they're not watching the signs or they didn't look at their map ahead of time. And this says D, taxiway D, and it says, whoops, runway 34, and I see the hold shorts right there. You hold short before the line. All right, and so now I'm just going to say, Arlington traffic, Fox Lima Tango Fox, departing runway 34 for east departure, Arlington traffic. So it's the same thing I said before, so I didn't slow it down this time, but it's as simple as that. Don't forget to say traffic before and traffic after, or Unicom before, Unicom after, or something like that when you're not expecting a reply, because then they know where it was directed. Here are the piano keys. I'm looking right, no one's coming in for landing, and I'm coming out onto the runway. I made the announcement. If anyone else was on the CTAF, they would have made the same, hey, wait a minute, buddy, I'm coming in. I'm on a half-mile short final. Now you can see the white lights on both sides. You can see in the distance we got taxiway lights. Something's flashing over here on the left. Let me just come up to here. And that is flashing light. Oh, that's probably the approach lights for that runway. That's the final approach lights. And there's a bunch more out that way. Huh. Interesting, because we do have, this intersecting kind of thing. All right, we're ready for takeoff. Away we go. We've already announced we're going to do it. Engines are in the green. Let's get back in the cockpit. Bit of right rudder. Needles are alive. Everything looks good. Rock and roll. We're looking for 51. Rotate speed. Climb out will be 74. I'm off multiplayer if I'm not aware. Really?
And how are you seeing other people?
I'm seeing, well, the N172 course, N204. Right, I'm off multiplayer. I'm not paying attention to the runway, guys. Essentially, yes. What I'm saying. Look how gorgeous this is.
Arlington traffic, Cessna Charlie Golf Alpha Juliet Sierra is over Everett, inbound for full stop landing, runway 34, Arlington traffic.
All right, you don't see me. Okay. Okay, hold on. We can do this in the sim. Now, I'm still keeping my, even though the landing light does give you some pollution here, I'm leaving it on so people can see me. And I do this in the daytime too, you guys, because they're all LED now. But look at that light, how bright it is. And so I do that just for sea and avoidance in all my flying, day and night. All right, let me just come out of it for a second. Let me just look at my settings, make sure my multiplayer is working. Online, Southeast Asia, multiplayer, live weather, yep. Yeah, I'm here. I'm on Southeast Asia. What are you guys on? Maybe you're on automatic. I noticed that after this last update, there was an update that almost reset my sim. It had a lot of settings that were reset, and this was back on automatic, and I think it picked up East USA.
I'm seeing Grubius and Srap and Max, but I'm not seeing you.
Not seeing me. All right, 500 feet above, and away we go to the right. Said we'd do an east departure, and away we go. And then we'll follow the map. Now, if we go and look at, I'll just give you the bigger view here. If we go and zoom out on our map, we'll get an idea where we're headed. And it's pretty much that, I think it's pretty much that river we're heading down. WA25, I think, is where we're headed. But you can see if you look out here, there's still population, but down that away there isn't. All right, and that's pretty much east now. So I'm just going to level for now and just see what's going on, get my bearings. I'm at 1600. I don't want to go too much higher at the moment. I want to go into the canyon low and then climb as we get further on. I see there is one airport there. That could be our destination when we come back. So the next thing you'd want to do, if you don't have it running already, is to run Little Nav Map, you guys. And that way you can follow it. Now you can certainly still use your MFD, because in real life that's all you got to work with. I'm just going to bring back some power here.
Arlington traffic, Cessna Alpha Juliet Sierra is 6 miles south of the airfield, inbound to land, runway 34, Arlington traffic.
Now, this is going to wreck our night vision, but I want to show you what we're after here. And then we won't show it again. Now, I've turned too far. Look, heading way in the wrong direction. So we're coming back this way. So I didn't put a flight plan in, and that's part of why we can't see it. Now, because I'm getting further away from the airport, I'm going to turn off my landing light because it's blinding. And you can see now it doesn't blind us out here. And now I should be turning back towards here. So whatever's up there, there's actually an airport right there. And you can see I'm almost running into the mountains here, so I got to watch where I'm going. Now from here on, I'm not going to watch that map. I'm going to hide it behind because it just wrecks my night vision. And I can start to see, already I can start to see things popping up, like the fact that Andrew said, you can see the mountains from here, whereas in a dark sky you probably wouldn't, right? Paul, you said, yeah, you're on Southeast Asia. All right.
Yeah, I see Paul too, off in the distance.
You see Paul, and you see
Yep.
Andrew, and he sees you.
I see
you guys
Paul,
don't
I
see
see Grubius, I see Manx, I see Srap on the ground, but I'm not seeing you at all.
And I see nobody else. Yep. So it's my system. Oh my gosh. What's the deal? Get set up here for where I'm headed. And I'm still going to go around this part too. So look how, it's a good lesson already, guys. I've already disoriented. I'm trying to run the stream. I'm looking at different screens. My little nav map wasn't open. So I wanted to head up here towards this little runway and go in here. And instead I was starting to head down that way, which is another little valley. Hey, it's just another valley. They all look the same, right? And I would have been on the wrong track completely than what I planned. So, you know, coming out of the airport, now that I see where the airport is over there, it wasn't directly east. It was really a northeast departure. And then when I look at Little Nav Map, you can see it really is. Remember I said it's about a 45-degree out to get to here. And I went straight across.
Arlington traffic, Cessna Alpha Juliet Sierra
Lessons
is on
learned.
3 mile final to runway 34 for the stop. Arlington traffic.
Certainly gorgeous, you know, when you take a look at it. Everything you see here is, you know, satellite imagery and photogrammetry. Everything here, those roads really are there. The population density really is there. Airport's definitely over there. You can see it's definitely a lot more lighting. And as we turn more to our right, we have less and less lighting. Now, you can see the effect already, you guys, of moonlight. And there's moonlight. I can see all the features here. My eyes can see that already, even though I can't see the stars yet. I got to get rid of these white screens over here. I'm going to minimize that one. I'm going to minimize that one. What else do I have to minimize to get rid of it? That should be okay. What is this one? Oh, that's the flight sim builder WASM. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Just getting rid of screens that are white, you guys, so I can have a break here. Get rid of that. Okay. Now I can see better, and I am going that way. Now, the effect that I want to do, you guys, I want to take away this moonlight, all right? Because I want you to see how dark it really can be. And I'm going to fly in between the mountains all the way up this canyon. That's the plan. All right, so I want to go to my settings up here, and I want to change this to February. Okay, so February 11th. Well, let's just try playing with the date here.
Back 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or go ahead 2 weeks.
So I'm on January 20th. What do you see behind you guys? Take a look. You want to talk about disoriented. And I've still got screens in front of my face here that are wrecking my vision. So probably the one that says stay away. High concentration of aerial cables. Well, that's probably it. I definitely want to go this way. And I want to follow the train track. Well, I don't see a train track. What else can I follow? So far, lights. Anything else? I'm going to rely on GPS, you guys. What else can I follow? But take a look inside the plane. We have this excellent little tool called synthetic vision. All right, you might want to focus on that. And in synthetic vision, you can see mountains, mountains, river. Okay, I'm going to go here. I'm going to level up here. Now this is cheating, but anything that works, anything that promotes safety. Okay, I'm going to glance at this. I'm not going to focus in like I am now. And I can see that that's where I'm headed. But take a look, even if I get rid of that glare, take a look here. I have no idea. I know there's mountains there. I am in trouble. I could accidentally bump into a mountain. This is night flying, you guys. This is the danger of night flying, right? But what I'm really impressed with is that I am starting to see the stars come out. And we could write a song about that. But so let's go with my head tracker. And what I'm going to do is block out the screen in front of my face. And I'm already seeing some of the stars. Even now. Now, they're already there in the sim. You guys might even see them before me, but I had to block out my MFD in front of my face just to start to see them. So even with this dim setting, now what's my attitude like? I'm turning to the left. Take a look, you guys. This is dangerous. So this is the most dangerous scenario right here. I'm flying low, 1600 or something. Oh, 2800. But what's the ground elevation? Now you could say, well, if you're this low, Howard, turn on a light. All right, I'll turn on my landing light. Any better? Powerful, isn't it? That's a powerful light you got there, Howard. It's completely useless in the air. All it's for is for people to see you. But it really wrecks your vision too, doesn't it? So now I've got to rely on my instruments, and I got to rely on my map to see where I'm going and know my elevations of my trip. All right, so again, I'm looking down at my MFD, follow the river, and there's my little plane above the river. And if I've checked ahead of time, I'll know what the elevation is here. Now we're going to be turning and going over the mountain as we get closer to that other. And I'm not going too fast either, you guys. I'm kind of creeping along. I'm going to give it a little more power. Trim it so I'm not climbing. And I'm also going to lean it a bit here. Hold on a second. Don't need to lean it much because I'm not up that much higher. Yep. So I got about 40 more RPM out of that. 2550, probably the max that I'll go. All right, so far I can actually follow. Now it might be disorienting for you guys to see my head tracker in your own life. So far, I can follow the lights of the city. And there's a highway right there too. I can follow the cars on the highway. So everything that works for you. And I can see I'm high enough. I shouldn't be climbing or descending. I'm pretty much level right now. But boy, is that disorienting. There's a mountain right there. Well, you can see some lights over the ridge. There's a mountain over there. Well, I'm not quite in the mountain yet. There's still a wide open area there. But the mountain's coming. And then I'm going to have mountain on both sides. Depends on my altitude though. So now, here I am on a night flight, starting to get a little anxiety because it's like, this is dangerous. And this is the problem with night flight, you guys. As gorgeous as it is. Now, if you take it up to past your MEF, remember it was 7,200, we have to fly at 8,000. If we were at 8,000 right now, I'm not worried about bumping into anything. And I can even turn and go right over the mountain, right? So that's what we're going to start. I think we're going to start it in a few minutes here. We can start it anytime. We'll do a slow climb, you guys. We'll just do a quick check here. Yeah, right about here we should start it. So give you guys, I don't want to show the little nav map because it's too bright. But this is where we start the climb, so. Now I'm going to look with reference to the instruments inside. I'm just going to pull back now. Whoops, get a level flight. Stay on the river. I'm going to pull back until I've got the speed that I want, and then give it full power. So I'm going to go 74 for this plane. Normal VY. Actually, it's written right there. You can see a Y right there. You don't have to memorize it. And then now I'm giving it full power. Full mixture. And I'm going to climb up to 8,000. Now I could set this. You could use autopilot if you want, but people then get complacent. So one way to do it is I'm going to push my heading indicator. That puts my heading indicator right there where I am right now. I could also set my altitude for 8,000. Let's do that. There's 82. Actually 82 would be better. There's 8,000 while I'm turning. Shouldn't be turning. Get back to the canyon. Right there. I can see I've got a mountain to my right, so I better move over a little more here. Look at synthetic vision's helping a lot. You shouldn't be focused on this thing. Now I'm going to recenter this like that. And then now I'm going to say FLC, heading, and autopilot. FLC is picking up 77. I'm going to adjust that down a bit to 74. Right there. Now this should work for me. It should stay like this. It should settle in at 74. And now some of that workload is off my shoulders. Am I accurate? Am I accurate is the key. And while you've got autopilot helping you now, as we climb to 8,000, what I want to do is go take a look at my MFD. Shift 2. Shift 2. And I want to see where it's taking me. Now I will need to make an adjustment, because if I keep going straight forever, I might not clear that by the time. So I'm going to make an adjustment when I get to about here. I'm going to use my heading indicator to turn to the right and follow this way. I'm staying in the canyon until I'm high enough to clear this mountain, and then I'm going to turn right. This is that 3 fingers area here, and I'm going to head over this way. This is the airport here. This is Darrington. All right. Are the cars on the roadside? Good day, mate. Raleigh. What's happening down under? How's it going, my friend? What's up? And we're on a night flight, and we're climbing right now to 8,000 feet. We're climbing through 55, and we are just seeing the effects of night. And look at that. I mean, ooh, that's just brutal. But we will clear the mountain as we get going. I'm going to make the small adjustment now. It seems that I'm off a bit to the left. I am actually right over the river, but I'm going to just turn just a bit to the right. Take it to about 62, 63 degrees. And I'm doing this right now with autopilot to reduce the load of the pilot in the cockpit. And this way I can look at other things and look at my map and look at my position and make sure of other things, make radio calls, talk to passengers who are insistent on talking forever. What are we doing now? What are we doing now? Are we there yet? Yeah, we get those. Yeah. I don't know about the cars on the wrong side of the road, but are you making a joke because it's North America? Is that what you're doing? All right, looking back in the plane, looking at my MFD, I'm right where I want to be, but I do want to turn a bit to the right. I'm going to take it now to about 70. And sorry, you didn't see me do that, but over here, I turned the heading knob to the right, and my plane is following heading, and that's what I've got it on. You can see up here it's on heading, autopilot, FLC. Now FLC is what you use for climbing, you guys. That way you'll never stall the plane. Set it for the speed you want it for. This is the most efficient speed for climbing because it keeps the engine cool. Any steeper, you could end up with a warmer engine and a steeper climb. This is probably best. It's not a cruise climb. Actually, a cruise climb can be higher than that. But this will work. It'll get us up there in time to turn and cross the mountain. And that's what we're doing. I can see we're probably above the left side, but we want to turn to the right over here. Come back over here to show you where I am. I'm still not all the way over. I'm going to turn it now to about 80 degrees. You can see that where it's going to go. It's a really handy thing that we have in the G1000. You can see where I'm going to go. I could even do that. And now it's going to go right down the middle of the canyon still while I'm climbing. That's a beautiful thing. And I'll climb back out of there and make sure that I'm looking out the window. Now, again, you guys, when we do this, look at that. You can see stars. And Andrew actually could see, I think you said you saw the Little Dipper, or what'd you see? Let's go over to Andrew's screen for a second. You probably will be back on the ground, Andrew. Yeah, you're already done, right? Okay. And Howard's going to get there from here. Yes, yes, yes. And there's all I got. Even my green screen is having trouble. My chroma key says, "Where's the green?" Behind me, yeah. Look at that. And Gerard says, "Nope, they look like they were on the left." Yeah. All right. So where are we? Well, we're at the point where the three, I think it's called the three fingers. But again, if you take a look inside the plane, and if you take a look at the synthetic vision right here, a real light. It's one of the reasons why. Oh, did I hit nearest? It's one of the reasons why people love the G1000, because it's one of the reasons why it's safer. And synthetic vision is actually an extra subscription or an extra feature when you buy this avionics suite in the real plane. We have it here by default, but many pilots won't buy it because it's just too expensive to get synthetic vision. But you can see why it would be a lifesaver. You can see here, it looks like I'm clearing. Oops, I'm just going to look left. It looks like I'm clearing all the mountains now, and I can make my turn. And you can see I'm at 77, going into 78. We know already that above 7,200 is safe because of our MEF on the chart, right? So we're good. Nothing! Still nothing! So, you know, that's the thing about night flight. Let's go like that, reduce that glare. There we go. All right, so soon, now, I will make my turn and we will go over the top. And right below me is Darrington Airport, believe it or not. Let me just see if we see it from here. Almost. There's that, and not further up from that. Let's see if we can do it this way. Like that. Right about. Surprised we don't see it. It should be right off our nose. Maybe I'm too high to see it. All right, but anyway, there's an airport nearby, and we're going to make the turn now. Get this back to the normal view like that. And back inside, and back down to here. All right, so now I'm going to turn over toward the mountain, and I'm going to go completely 90 degrees. So I'm going to turn the heading bug all the way around. It's already pointing east. I'm going to point it completely south, go straight over the mountain. We've got the right altitude. We're at 8,000 feet. We're picking up some speed. We're at 8,000. I'm going to lean the engine a bit more here. 40, 50. And don't forget, before we land, we've got to put it back to rich. All right, right about there. 2590 is 2600 is the maximum I'm getting out of this baby. All right. You can see up ahead in the synthetic vision, we're heading over the mountain. What do we see in real life? I mean, what do we see over the horizon? We actually have a horizon to work with. Is that cool or what? That's pretty cool. And this is actually cloud, you guys. You can't really tell. It's a mist, though. I can still see some stars, but you can see we're lucky enough to have lights of the residential areas peeking over the mountain. Is it enough for us to clear the mountain? And it should be. We're at 8,000 feet, right? We're already 800 feet above maximum elevation point. And now we're heading over the mountain toward the other side. To that little canyon we almost went down the first time. Night flight, you guys. Look at all the things we did to prepare for this. Now, the place we're headed to, don't forget we got to make the call going into there also. And if you'll remember in our presentation, we said that we would be going back into a place called Frontier. I'm looking at the map right now. I have my frequencies right here. And Frontier Air Park. It won't show up on Say Intentions because they look to the nearest controlled airport. That's what messed us up last time when we were doing a fire run. But so I've got to go in and just find the information for it, and it's going to have a CTAF of 122.90. So I'll go back in the plane. Well, I'm in the plane already, but let's go back to here, to shift 1. Let you see what I'm doing here. And it's 122.9 typical CTAF. So I'm going to set that up right here. 122, and this can go up to 9. Oh, both of them are stuck together. Okay, let's try it this way. 122. One of the knobs on here is still messed up. 122.9. Done. Just like that, and it's ready to go. Now I'm nowhere near them yet, so I'm not going to switch it over. I'm still leaving it on Arlington in case they want to contact me, but typically out here, you notice I've got my COM2 on 1215, that's the guard frequency, and you'll notice that I also have, I'm listening to both COM1 and COM2. No, I'm not. I was supposed to be listening to both. So it's on the guard frequency if I had to use it, and if I need to transmit on it, I would just click it here and transmit on COM2 on the guard frequency or the emergency frequency. So I'm listening to both, but I'm transmitting on one. So that's my active. And then I'll flip-flop this over afterwards. All right, not much further, and then we'll make the turn and head back toward the canyon. We're on the highest point here, which is Higher Squire it's called, Higher Squire. And we're just heading over to make the descent on the other side of the mountain. Over into that area right there. Now, if you didn't have G1000 and synthetic vision, this becomes a harder task. And in real life, I've relied on my GPS in my handheld GPS, and my first GPS was the 296, and it was a black and white GPS, believe it or not. But it was a handheld with a small antenna on it, and I plugged it into the cigarette lighter in the plane, and that's what I used for supplemental information about where I am. Because typically when you're flying, especially in the days when I learned to fly, we used paper maps, and we would look watch to map to ground, typical pilotage and dead reckoning, and we would look out and see there's a river, there's a railroad track, there's a highway. We look on the map and say, yep, we're in the place we're supposed to be. Here in night flight, I don't see a river, I don't see a railroad track, and I don't see the highway, and once in a while I see a car down there. I have no idea if it's a highway or not. So I have no way of doing that reference. So how did they do it back in the day before GPS? They looked for signs, and they flew high enough to not hit anything, you know, I mean, really. Yeah, Kata, it's true, but it's, you know, it makes flying safer, that's for sure, and the synthetic vision, absolutely. But even without the synthetic vision, you guys, if we were to still use, let's go to number 2 here, the fact that the MFD can give us this kind of information, you know, and I've got it for heads up, this is the way you fly, this is the way you do your maps too, is that you can see what's coming up ahead. And you know, the whole idea, there I am sitting right here, and I've got it really zoomed, so I'm just going to bring it back in again. You can see there I am moving, and you can see what's coming up ahead. I've got it set for relief, and you know, that actually looks like the other side of the canyon right there. We're going to be turning right and heading off that way. So this in itself is beautiful. Even if you don't have synthetic vision, you would still have this, and you would have this if you had a handheld too, and that's why we take them with us for cross-reference. And I have my iPad and my iPhone as my backups if these things don't work right. Yeah, you can turn it off. It's, yeah, it is one of the options, but it's a beautiful thing. And you know, we paid through the nose for it. let's come back to here. Yeah, we did, right. And let's just make that turn. There's the valley. Let's go. So now, are we going straight west? Yeah, we'll try west for now. Coming back out again. Pretty easy, isn't it? Let's just do the points of the compass. We're good. It's always nice to have. And look at you. You've got the full-blown G1000 home cockpit setup that you built yourself. We're all envious, of course. And we love the work that you did on that. We all want to put our order in, right, Andrew? We want her to build one for us. You know, what are friends for, Kata? What, 6 months per person? Is that the good estimate? I should be right over. I should be right over the river. Back to number 2. I'm right over the river. Look at that. And out we go. Now, I'm not within any kind of distance of that airport, by the way, and but I'll still make the call soon. And so what would you think, you guys? How far out am I? You'd have to look at the map to see that. I'm using Little Lamb map just to measure the distance. And I've got 13.8 nautical miles. So at 10 miles out, I'll make the call that I'm inbound. And this is pretty much the right direction that I'm headed right now. 8,000 feet. Now, I don't need to be at 8,000 now, do I? Look, I'm in the canyon, and the canyon is a lot less than 8,000. I'm way above, and I've got to come down to an airport that's something like 400 elevation. So I better start my descent now. So I'm just going to use VS for that. If you take a look up here, I'm going to use VS for that. And I'm just using the Bravo for this, you guys, and I'm going to use a descent rate of about 8,000 feet. Here we go. No, that's not it. VS is not holding. Hold on a second. Pull some power back. Yeah, for some reason it doesn't like it. Every time I go to click VS, there we go, finally. Something's going on there. Yeah, it's not holding it. It's still holding at 8,000. Oh yeah, you guys, you know. Duh. Jeff's in the back there going, you know, Howard, you got to set the altitude first. Oh yeah, that. And it's just me in the plane, so I'm going to do this. Nice aggressive 1,100 feet per minute. And you can see out in the distance, it's probably around there. That's where we're headed. And we can take a look right and left and still see that it's completely pitch black back there. This is behind us, you guys. Look at that. Now my eyes aren't fully accustomed. I can see a little bit of star cluster over here, a couple of star points here, but man, that is dark. Oof. For real planes G1000 NXI retrofit kits, recommended price is $62,000. Kits are expected to begin shipping in the third quarter of 2023. See, you guys? See? I saw an $85,000 glass cockpit retrofit into a Caravan. And I asked the guy, so what's the invoice price? He says, go talk to Harry. So I go inside, what's the invoice price of that thing? $85,000. And I think he said $85,000 does include the labor. What? Because they don't just stick screens in your thing, they got to actually put the sensors everywhere too, right? And all the autopilot stuff. So I think that was also autopilot plus glass cockpit. So servos and all that sort of mess. It's a mess. Yeah, Groovy says I'll stick with the sim. Yeah, and whatever the price was for the sim, it's a bargain. Right, Andrew? Did you take off again, Andrew, or are you not going to bother?
Oh, I'm here.
I mean, you landed, right? Are you going to take off again? Or
Yeah, I took off again. I'm coming
meaning
over
departure, yeah.
Yeah, I'm about 2 miles out from Frontier right at the moment.
2 miles from Frontier, cool.
Frontier traffic, Cessna Alpha, Charlie Golf Alpha Juliet Sierra is 1 mile west of the field, inbound for a full stop landing. Frontier traffic.
Look at you go, man. And you're not even looking at the cheat sheet. Nice work. Looking at the MFD, you guys, I can see that I'm still in the valley with the elevation nice and low. And I got the legend up just so you can see the green on the legend is below 500 feet or 500 feet and below. So I'm heading down to 1,000. I'm safe.
Frontier traffic, Cessna Alpha Juliet Sierra is turning base. Frontier.
I don't understand why the multiplayer's not working. It has been fine up to now. Yeah, the real one, you guys, when you use it here in the sim, it's exactly the same in the real one. Same button, same function, same. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. And I've actually surprised a few instructors. How long since you've flown? Oh, about a year. When's the last time you did the G1000? Oh, about 2 years ago. And then I just did everything. He goes, you got a good memory. I said, no, I flew on the sim last night, same route. Then he said, what sim are you using? I was like, okay.
Air traffic, Cessna Alpha Juliet Sierra is turning final from Frontier traffic. I
Oh,
have no idea.
we're landing at Frontier, which is WN53. WN53. And we're about 5 miles out, so I'll make the call. So I'll switch it over. You can see my frequencies are right here. I'm going to use the flip-flop button right there. Let's change it over to 122.9. That's the Arlington traffic. Actually, I'm going to just turn a bit to the left here. Probably about 292, maybe about there. I'm too far to the right edge of that mountain, so I think it's going to be right over here. All right. Frontier traffic, this is Skyhawk, Fox Lima Tango Fox. 5 miles to the east, inbound to land, full stop. Frontier traffic. 3,200, yep, coming down to 1,000, I'll be good. Yep, by the time I get there. The frequency flip button actually working in this airplane. Yeah, this one here, right? The flip-flop button. Yeah, I just changed it over. Plus on my G1000 it works too. I just changed it over. Here, I'll show you. Change it back. Change it over. Yep, working fine. And then right, oh, maybe you're saying between COM 1 and 2, I learned you have to right-click the encoder knob. Right-click. Sure. There's an encoder knob right here, right? Sure, Howard. Oh, my encoder knob is broken on my FlightSim Builder. Wow. Okay. Things are getting scary, you guys. We're getting pretty close. I don't know. 1,000 feet.
Frontier traffic, Cessna Alpha Juliet Sierra is clear of 3-4 on the west taxiway. Taxiing to parking. Frontier traffic.
Fuel! I see taxiway lights right there. Ooh, boy. We're that close. Okay. See how it comes up fast on you? Runway 34. Did you land at 34, Andrew?
Yep.
Okay. Runway 34. I'm going to take autopilot off. Full rich. Give it a bit more power here. I'm just going to come around and fly directly over the airport, which will be right there. I'm just going to do this for now because I've got instruments in front of my face. Arlington traffic, Fox Lima Tango Fox is flying overhead the field 1,000 feet, joining the left downwind for runway 34 at full stop Arlington traffic.
Temperature at Frontier.
Oh! Frontier traffic. This is Fox Lima Tango Fox, correction. I wish the TBM alt knob selector had 1000s and 100s. Ah! And there's the field. But do you see a runway? Very faint. All right. I am at 1,000 feet, you guys, and should be at 1,200, I think. Isn't it 466? Yeah, I should have been 1,500, you guys. So I'm a little low. And it felt like it when I came over the field. So there it is right there behind me. That beautiful thing we have in the sim, looking behind. It's not easy to do in a real plane. No rear view mirrors. All right, and as I do this, primer, master, mags on both, all switches, landing light is on. I'm gonna look inside the plane at my fuel quantity, temperature. Pressure's in the green, that's good. We're good. Landing lights on. And let's just square this up. Right like that. Okay, now we're going to square it up. And we're going to land on 34, which is pretty much parallel the other direction, right now. Down that way. Wow, look at this at night, you guys. Very hard to see it. And I'm at 500 already, and I shouldn't be. This should have still been at 1,000. Look at that, the illusion of it all. Armatic. Some of the Soba planes, the flipper was not working. Aftermarket planes work. Alright, I think I can safely make the turn. And we'll just see how close the runway is. I am low, so I can make it closer. I honestly don't like the landing light. It kind of ruins the vision, but let's just see how this goes. And the runway should be over to my left. This it could be disorienting, you guys, so this is also a good reason why you look at your heading indicator. If I give you guys an idea what that looks like right here. And you take a look at the 4 points of your runway right here. So it's runway 34 off my left wing, right there. So the runway will be showing up over there, and you can see it there right now.
Joel and Raiders, welcome.
Hey guys, how's it going? Flights with Joel. How you doing, helicopter friend? You know, he's known for helicopters, you guys. He likes them a lot. We got a raid going on, can you hear it? Alright, we're doing a night flight, you guys. I've got my landing light on and I don't like it. It's kind of wrecking my view. So I'm doing a slant final at about 500 feet. Coming in flap range. 65 is my normal approach. I don't have any wind, so I'm good.
500.
500. Looking good. Looking great. Love the look of that runway. It's looking fine to me. I'm going to trim that. And take her in. I've got 2 notches of flap in. And it's a night flight. Look out. And it's all manual, you guys. We did some autopilot heading over the mountains, but we're good now. A little bit of a wow, radio tower right beside the runway.
Yep.
That kind of threw me off. Okay then, radio tower, hard landing. You came just in time, Raiders, to see Howard at his best. If this were career mode, you guys, we would need some new landing gear. There's no doubt about it. But this is what happens with 172s. We really work them. Now, I overshot that taxiway. There isn't another one on this airport. So, Frontier Traffic, Fox Lima Tango Fox has landed runway 34, backtracking 34 to the nearest taxiway. Frontier Traffic. Nobody else was in the circuit. I'm good. And from here, I'll switch over to my taxi light. Up go my flaps. You can wait till you're at the hold short. And transponder on standby. And my time down. Got it, 15:15. And over to the left here. Frontier Traffic, Fox Lima Tango Fox has cleared runway and taxiing to the parking area. Frontier Traffic. I don't know, parking to something. Where are we headed? Parking to the, I don't know, up here. Up here where there's civilization. So now it's on taxi light. My flaps are up. My transponder's on standby. And some, you know, there's some flight schools that, I mean, some airports that say leave your transponder on right to take off. I mean, you'd never put it on standby. But, you know, on their radar, they see a whole bunch of 1200s on the screen, right? All the places I fly to are always the smaller airports in real life, and they all of them, hands down, say don't put your transponder on until you're ready for takeoff. I guess because of the clutter of the flight schools and all their planes taxiing around, right? Little hint for you guys in career mode: if you are taxiing, turn on Little M map and see what speed you are. Keep it under 20 knots. You'll never get dinged for speeding while you're taxiing. Just a little hint there, because you know your speed indicator won't come alive till after 25. There's that radio tower. Look, the taxiway goes right around it. I would think, hold on a second, I would think the wing's going to hit it. Look at that. Does not look right. Does that look right? That doesn't look right. Look at that, a taxiway right beside a radio tower. I'm sure that's not right, but you know, it is a curved taxiway, so it is going around it. I'm sure it went through, would go through it, but you know, now in this sim, there's objects that you can actually hit. That's pretty wild, isn't it? Don't you love Night Flight, you guys? Don't you just love it? You guys are just in time for the giveaway, too. All right. I found the place. And there's our Night Flight. Normal shutdown. I'm going to do the lights first. Good. All of those lights. Nav lights off. Everything's off. Avionics are off. Parking brake is set. Kill the engine. And kill the power. Headset flashlights on. Hey! That was pretty cool. Yeah, even if that was a hard landing, you guys. That's what happens when you get distracted on the stream. I've done a lot of greasers in my time. If I did that with an instructor in the plane, they would be going like, what? How long you been flying? So, all right, so then we get out and we walk around. You know what I mean? Isn't that sweet? And we make sure everything's good. Put the chocks back on.
Yeah, you know, if you zoom in on the Navigraph charts on the tablet, that tower is actually there.
It is there. Oh, okay. So it is a real thing. All right. So, everybody, that was like... all right, so now I can bring this back up to normal levels here in the studio. Back on go my studio lights. Oh, there's where everything is. I found my coffee. It's a dark mug. I didn't see it in the dark.
Hey, DH. How you doing?
You see that? Just in time. Hey, Super Ty, we did it. I'm going to say new flight and say intentions and then close that window. For those who want to know what we just did, you can see I did my practice run earlier. And then I did it now, and even now, I went straight east when I took off. I said I'd do an east departure, and I did do an east departure too sharp. And I should have done a northeast departure. So I corrected before I hit the mountain, and away we went through the valley at about 1,600 feet. Started climbing about here to 8,000, knowing that the MEF for this area here was the highest, was 7,200. And we turned right over here once we were at 8,000 feet, headed over the mountain and down into this valley, descended back down, called Frontier at, actually I only called them at 5 miles out, but I should have called them at 10. And then came in overhead the field at circuit height. I was a bit low on that. Came back around and in on 34, landed hard and backtracked. So that was our whole flight right there. And you can see in little nav map, it's always handy to find things like frequencies and stuff like that. And let me just come and finish the session, you guys. I'm just going to go back to where we left off, and I'm going to make a draw right now. So remember, we said we would do the draw between the demo and finishing. So let's do that right now. And let me just bring up the draw area. Hold on. I had it ready to go, but it disappeared. Hold on, I'll bring it back. And we will go to... here to giveaways. Let me just set it up. Everyone gets their first ticket for free with a confirmation. Ticket cost is 0 and maximum tickets per person is 1. All right, so are you ready? Now here's what we're doing, you guys, before we finish the screen up there. Matter of fact, let me just put this on the screen where you can scan the Discord server. Let's do it. Let's leave it there while we're doing the actual draw. And then I want to walk down this, just talk about what we did. All right, so let's leave that up for the moment while we do the draw. These are the Say Intentions giveaway cheat sheets, they call them. VFR cheat sheet on laminated both sides, everything you'd need to do with phraseology in ATC communications. And the IFR cheat sheet, both sides, and everything you need to know for IFR. And they also do print. I know that when we were there at FS Expo, they do print some flight notes that you can use on your flight notes knee pad that will give you, the proper way to write down your IFR clearances and all that. But, I have flight notes too. If you put ! flight note into chat, you would get my PDF, which I've had for years. Not made for IFR, but you could certainly use it for that. All right, these two are going to be given away, and I'm going to start it right now. Just type in ! ticket, and you too can get these. We will have Noiseboy Mike. He will be sending these out to you if you win. All right? And I'll do that every Tuesday if you want to tune in and grab one. Grab your tickets now, you guys. Last Tuesday, the odds were really good. And everything has been shipped out now. So Even Oz in Australia got it, all right? As that's happening, I just want to talk about the summary on the screen right here. Use charts to get the MEF, the maximum elevation figure. If you remember on the navigation chart, we had this right here. Here we're using SkyVector, which is a free website. It's free to use on a website, skyvector.com. Real pilots use it. It is the actual charts that you would get if you got the printed version. The maximum elevation in this quadrant where we were flying is 7,200. We started around here. Maximum elevation is 45. And we came over this mountain here, which is still in this quadrant. So we went 8,000 feet. Officially, we should be 8,200. Typically, you're 1,000 feet above the MEF to be safe. And we came over here and back down into this valley and back out. Started here at Arlington, finished at Frontier. That's what we did. And that's a handy thing, you guys, just to know what's the cruising altitude. How would you ever figure that out? And you can see what we did here. Know your instruments. If you're in pitch black areas around you, you got to know how to look at them and how to cross-reference them. We were lucky we had synthetic vision to tap on to see how we're doing. You can see, obviously, you wouldn't have that in conventional plane like Andrew flew. He did it with conventional gauges without the use of GPS. Use low light and red light flashlights. Those are always handy. I keep 2 in my flight bag, you guys, just for that very reason. This one is a dual. I won't point it directly at you, but this one has red on right now, and it can have white on, but I won't point it directly at you. And the white's used for when you're doing your walk around and stuff like that. Always handy to have a dual flashlight. Use flight following if you can. I probably could have asked Payne Field for flight following because they've got controllers, which is just to the south of Arlington, and even in, say, Intentions, and they probably could have picked up flight following and helped me along. They probably would not have given me a clearance to be 1,600 feet in the canyon. They probably would have wanted me to be at 8,000. So you never know, right? So that was what we did. That was a summary, you guys. And I'm going to ask at this moment, because we only got a few minutes left before we do the draw, anybody have some questions about tonight's session? If you are a subscriber on the Twitch channel, you can ask me in Discord for the PDF of this presentation tonight, and I give them to all subscribers as a thank you for supporting the channel. So just let me know, all right, when you get there. All right. Paul, 44 months in a row, my friend. All right, we're already ready to go. We're going to close the giveaway in 10 more, 9 more, 8 more, and 7 more. And in a few more seconds now, we're going to close it. And Paul says, that just happened. Really? Who did it for you? Who bought it for you? That's cool. And we're going to close it. Here we go. The giveaway is now closed, you guys. I'm ready to draw a winner. Drum roll, please, Paul. Andrew, did you enter this time?
Nope.
You didn't? Have you got these cheat sheets yet?
Nope, but
No?
there's a possibility that they're included in what Brian is sending me, because
Okay, so he is sending you. Okay, good, because
Yeah.
you know we are partners. We're affiliates. Okay, so drawing a winner, you guys. You ready for that? Paul has auto subscribe on. Nice. Happened in the middle of the screen. That's cool. All right, you guys, drawing a winner. Here we go. There we go. That was the drum roll.
Gata.
Kata, look at you. Yes. You probably know all this stuff, but you know it's good to have the cheat sheet anyway, right? Way to go. Well done. See, it pays to stay in there, you know? Hang in there, girl. Yeah, thanks for that. And if you guys haven't seen it, if you go onto our Discord server, you're going to see the panel. I'll just call it the panel. Nice simple word to summarize 6 months of pain, right, Kata? Kata made this, all the electronics and all the wiring, and a G1000 DA62 panel in her home cockpit. And she documents it on Discord, you guys. Go take a look behind the screens. Unbelievable. And she's living the life, that's for sure. And today, Kata, you know, I couldn't help but think about you. I was flying the DA62 in career mode, doing a VIP thing, and it's like, yeah, this is her plane. This is your plane. That was lots of fun. So I was thinking about you. All right, so you guys, I want to thank you a lot because you're what makes it happen. You're the ones who give me the ideas of what we should talk about. These are things everybody asks about. Now you've got an idea. what the challenges are, what the advantages are, how romantic and beautiful it can be, but also how dangerous it can possibly be. And that's pretty cool, right? Yeah, Paul, it's on our Discord. It's under Cockpit Hardware on our Discord. Yep. She's been...
Not a complete. It's not complete documentation, but
No,
there
she gave us
there are
updates.
pictures.
She gives updates. I'm sure if Kata, I don't know if you have your own Discord server, I'm sure you have better documentation. And she did do some streams too, live streams while she was working on it. I don't think she saved the VODs though, yeah. All right, so congratulations, Kata. You're the proud owner of the cheat sheets, and we'll have Noiseboy Mike ship those out as soon as he's back at home base. He's always flying around the country, but he should be back soon. And everyone else, come every Tuesday, go in the draw, and maybe even learn something. You never know, right? That's pretty cool. All right, thanks a bunch. And if you haven't been to our Discord server, by all means, scan. If you haven't heard about my Udemy courses, let's go. And by the way, Flights with Joel promised me a helicopter video to add to my helicopter course, you know, because we want his expertise to show up. And I also want him to be known to my student base for the skills that he has. So hopefully that'll happen when he can breathe and he can get that out to me. That'd be great. All right, you guys, take care. This is our Tuesday night lesson. This has been Andrew and I giving our love of aviation and sharing what we love doing best, and that is flying, whether it be real or in the simulator. Have a great night. We'll see you on Thursday. Cockpit Chatter, Saturday Group Fly. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. See you,
Night,
Andrew.
everybody. See you later. Night, all.